A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
The National Broadcasting Company presents COUNTERSPY.
Calling David Harding, COUNTERSPY. Washington calling David Harding, COUNTERSPY.
Harding, COUNTERSPY. Calling Washington.
United States COUNTERSPY. Especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These COUNTERSPY reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the infiltrating agents.
From Carter, COUNTERSPY Field Office, American Embassy, Buenos Aires, to COUNTERSPY Headquarters, Washington. Urgent attention, Mr. Harding personally. Have just learned that Ivor Sanderson, inactive here for the past 2 years, has booked passage on 7 p.m. plane north. From Jones, COUNTERSPY Field Office, Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, to Mr. Harding, Washington. Believed man answering description of Ivor Sanderson got off plane here this morning.
Harding, to all Southern Field Offices. 24-hour alert ordered until further notice. Am flying to Laredo, Texas. Will make specific assignments upon arrival.
You're okay, Pepita. Plenty okay.
How many times I have to tell you my name is not Pepita? Who is this Pepita? Some other girl you like better, huh?
No, Pepita, you're the only girl in the world. At least the only girl in Nuevo Laredo. Well, bottoms up.
Harry, I think you have too much already.
No, it's never too much. Bottoms up.
Oh. Harry, you take drinks too all of a sudden. Oh, come on, Harry, sweetheart, baby, we go.
Go? Where? What's the matter with this place?
We go home.
Oh, no, Pepita, I'm having too much fun. I like Mexico. I don't want to go back to Dallas. There's not this much fun in Dallas.
You don't go back to Dallas. I mean my home.
Oh. Why'd you say so? Hey, waiter. Mozo!
Sí, señor.
Dame la cuenta.
7 pesos.
$7.
Sí.
Okay? Okay, here, bud. Keep the change. Keep it. I'm a sport.
Muchas gracias, señor.
It's all right.
Come, Harry.
You know, you're a sweet kid, Pepita. You're an awful sweet kid.
The name is not Pepita.
You're still a sweet kid.
Come, you lean on me. I will open it the door.
That's a good girl. You open it the door. Hmm?
Okay, come.
You know, Pepita, I'm going to miss you when I go back to Dallas.
Well, you don't go back till tomorrow.
I'm going to miss you anyway. Yeah, here's my car.
Oh, we don't have to drive to my house.
We don't?
No, I live right next door to the saloon.
Hey, that's nice. That's convenient, too, huh?
Right here. We go in.
Oh, that's good.
Come in, Harry.
Ah, it's dark. It's dark in here, Pepita.
I will turn on the light.
Ah, it's better. Much better. Hey, look, a nice little old comfortable chair. Hey, isn't that a wonderful sight? Nice little old easy chair.
Harry?
Good night, Pepita.
Harry. Harry, wake up. Harry. Okay, sleep. Go.
Yeah, all right. Is it all right?
Yes, all right. Now, Honor doesn't have much money with him. He should.
Never mind how much money he's got. Leave it.
Ha!
Leave the money alone.
All right, but it's a shame. Here. Here are the keys to his car.
Good.
The car is big Oldsmobile, right outside. License Texas JW360.
Stay here. I'll be back in a little while. Mr. Sanderson? Mr. Sanderson?
Yes, here. Come on, Carl. Get out.
But mustn't we drive the car to the garage? That has been the usual procedure.
Get out.
Yes, all right. Get out. We do everything fine for months and months. Perfect. And along comes word from Buenos Aires, and poof, everything has changed. Nothing is good. Why didn't you remain in Buenos Aires?
Because our superiors believe this is too important for you to handle.
Too important for me to handle, huh? What have I been handling that was not important?
Yes, but not as important as this.
In 5 or 6 hours, the man will wake up. We must have the car back by then so he can be on his way. If we must take off the tires and put the stuff inside as usual, we'll have to get it to the garage quickly.
No, the merchandise does not go into the tires.
What's the matter with the tires? We're putting it in the tires all along.
I don't like what you've been doing all along, Carl.
Please. You forget my contribution.
Is that so?
That is so. It was me, Carl, who thought of finding these tourists, having them innocently smuggle the material across the border in their cars. It was me alone.
You know, this job is too much for you.
Oh, now something big comes along. It's too much.
This is no bigger than usual.
You weren't sent from Buenos Aires for something no bigger than usual, I know.
Do you?
Of course I know.
What, for instance?
It is plans in microfilm to the organization to infiltrate the area of the new hydrogen bomb plant in South Carolina. Plans for our people to establish themselves as residents and get employment in the construction work. And later, when construction is finished in the plant itself. Isn't that right?
Very right.
You see, I know.
That's too bad, Carl.
Mr. Sanderson, no.
I'm sorry, Carl.
No, please, I didn't know. I only guessed.
Well, you guessed too well.
Please,
then.
don't kill me, please!
A little later or a little sooner, it didn't make any difference, Carl. You were not to be trusted.
Yes?
Here are the keys. The car is ready. Put the keys back in his pocket.
Who are you? What is Carl?
Carl has been transferred.
Transferred?
Yes, transferred to another area. Put the keys in the man's pocket. Everything is ready.
To Braden, COUNTERSPY headquarters, Washington. Advise you handle Honolulu and San Francisco matters yourself. Don't know how long I'll be here. No break as yet. Case still requires my personal attention.
Harding.
Yes, I'll be right with you. Signed, David Harding, COUNTERSPY Temporary Field Office, Laredo, Texas. Yeah?
That Oldsmobile with the Texas plates JW360 just left the Mexican side and started across the International Bridge.
Good.
You want to step over to the window, Chief? Yeah. Here it comes, Mr. Harding.
No, I think it ought to have a regular customs examination right down the line.
Okay, I'll take care of it myself.
Make it look regular, just in case we're being watched.
Right. Here it comes.
Well, I'll wait inside. Tell the driver I want to see him.
Right. Good morning, sir.
What's good about it? Ooh.
Rough night?
Rough. It was brutal. My bag's in the trunk. I've got nothing to declare. I didn't buy anything.
Nothing at all to declare?
Nothing except what I ate and drank. I'll open it up.
Give me the keys, mister. I'll open it. The man inside wants to see you.
About what?
Well, you'll have to ask him. One standing right inside the door.
All right. Did you want to see me? Hello, Mr. Harding.
Hello, Peter. How'd it go?
As expected. This girl, Pepita, picked me up in the cafe. We had a few drinks. When she thought I was loaded, she took me to her place. When it looked like I passed out, she called in a friend named Carl.
Yeah.
They lifted the car keys off me, and Carl left.
5 or 6 hours later, she returned my car keys.
So our suspicions are confirmed.
I think that's been the pattern all the while, Chief.
What do you think they hid in the car?
I don't know. I didn't want to make too close an examination.
Well, we ought to be able to find it.
Anything new on Sanderson?
Nothing other than we're afraid he slipped into this country.
Mm-hmm.
So start out for Dallas, Peters, and make those stops we talked about for lunch, for gas, anything. Well, someplace between here and Dallas, they should try to lift the car from you.
And that's when we nail them.
I hope so. Now, as insurance, we'll use the alternating method in staying with you. Somebody in front, somebody behind, all the time.
Right.
I'll try to be in contact with you from time to time.
All right, sir. Everything's okay.
Thanks.
Here are your keys. They pulled out the upholstery padding in the backrest of the rear seat, Chief. Found a roll of microfilm.
Microfilm. So that's it. Did you substitute it in the car?
Yes, sir.
Good. Well, Peters, I think you spent enough time here.
All right. So long. Thanks.
So long.
He's got a dangerous job.
Yeah. You don't know how dangerous. Those people would just as soon kill him as look at him. We've been after this ring for a year now. We haven't made a dent yet. That is until now.
That's a pretty clever gimmick of theirs, storing the films in tourists' cars.
Yes, it's clever, but it's up to us to be a little more clever. Let's find out what's in those microfilms. Yes, sir. Fill her up?
Yep.
How's the oil and water?
They're okay. Just fill her up.
Any sign of them, Peters?
I didn't see a thing, Chief.
I just heard from both your follower and your leader. They didn't see any sign of them either. We developed that microfilm we found in the car.
Big stuff?
Bigger than we figured. That 400-square-mile tract of land up around Aiken, South Carolina.
Hey, that's where the government just announced it's going to build a hydrogen bomb plant.
Exactly. Microfilm has orders to agents at a dozen or more states to get rooted around that project, even before it started. When the call goes out for workers, those agents will be right among them. So I don't think they'll let your car get too far out of their sight, Peter. He must be around someplace.
Maybe they have the setup spotted.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think they're waiting till I get closer to Dallas? Hey, you're getting a customer.
Yeah. Just a minute, ma'am. Be with you in a minute.
All right.
Well, there you are. Filled up.
Okay.
Sure the oil and water okay?
Yeah, they're okay.
Please. I'm in an awful hurry.
Well, but this gentleman
If
here...
the lady's in such a hurry, go right ahead. I've got plenty of time.
Okay. Fill her up, ma'am?
No, I don't need any gasoline. There's something wrong with my car, and I've just got to get to San Antonio.
Well, we'll take a look. Yeah, it's hot, all right. It's boiling.
What is it, the fan belt?
No, fan belt seems to be okay.
I was just driving along, and it started to steam all of a sudden.
No, let's check the water. Oh, that's it.
No water?
Can't see any. You got a leak, all right, a bad one there. See how it's dripping down on the pan there?
Oh, will that take long?
Well, long enough. You got to find the leak, then I got to fix it.
Oh, dear, I've got to be in San Antonio by 1 o'clock.
Well, with this car you won't. I got 2 other jobs sitting in the garage back there. It'll be at least 1:30 before I can get to it.
Is there a bus or something?
Well, not one that'll get you to San Antonio by 1 o'clock.
Oh. Sir, could you take me? Are you going to San Antonio?
Me?
Yes, I've just got to be there. I've got an appointment, and I can't miss it.
Why don't you give the lady a lift, mister? You got an empty car.
Oh, sure. Sure, it'd be a pleasure, miss.
Oh, thank you very much. You don't know what a favor this is. I've really got to be there. I'll come back tomorrow for the car. Is that all right?
Oh, I'll be ready anytime tomorrow. That'll be 2:06, mister.
Yeah, sure. Here you are.
Thanks. There's no leak in that radiator. The water was drained out. Peters, this may be it.
You are listening to the case of the infiltrating agents on COUNTERSPY. Have you met our new baby yet? I mean NBC's new baby, The Big Show. And what a baby it is. The biggest baby you ever heard. And he's not crying either. Why should he with stars like Tallulah Bankhead, Jimmy Durante, Clifton Webb, Mindy Carson, Meredith Wilson, and a host of others to make him radio's greatest spectacle ever? This Sunday and every Sunday, meet The Big Show. An hour and a half of comedy, music, and drama. All this and Tallulah, too. No wonder it's The Big Show. And Sunday evening over most of these same NBC stations also means the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, with Frankie, Julius, and the entire cast. Now, back to COUNTERSPY.
San Antonio COUNTERSPY Field Office.
Now, this is Harding. Peter stopped at point 14, filling station. Car drove up with a steaming radiator, and a girl, 5'4", 120 pounds, 25 years old, got out and hitched a ride to San Antonio with Peters in his car.
That looks like it.
It does. Check on the license of the car she left here. The 1949 Plymouth two-door, painted maroon, Texas license 3T152.
Okay, Mr. Harding.
Now get that information out to all cars. Because if she's one of the ring, she might try to pull a gun on Peters between here and San Antonio. Take over his car.
Right.
I'm turning the filling station back to the owner right away and joining the parade. But keep shooting out bulletins over the air. We're getting close.
What would a pretty girl like you be in such a hurry to get to San Antonio for, Miss White?
Oh, I've got an appointment.
What kind of an appointment?
It's just an appointment.
Okay. So maybe I'd be entitled to know.
Well, you are, but I'm not going to tell you.
All right. I'll mind my own business.
You're sweet, Mr. Peters.
Harry.
Very sweet. Harry. Where do you live?
In Dallas. Where do you live?
In San Antonio.
They're too far apart. Dallas and San Antonio.
I guess they are. Oh, there's a nice lunch stand coming up. Would you like to get some coffee?
I thought you were in a hurry to get to San Antonio.
Well, I am, but a few minutes won't hurt.
It won't hurt you. It won't hurt me.
It's really a very nice place. I've been there before.
Must be. It's kind of busy.
Oh, a lot of people who travel between San Antonio and Laredo know it.
Huh? Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I was kind of hoping you'd want to stop. I thought, though, that you were in too much of a hurry.
Oh, well, I'm never in too much of a hurry for a cup of coffee.
Good.
Let's sit at the counter. It's quicker, shall we?
Okay. You're the boss. It's all right?
Oh, this is fine.
Yeah, folks. What's the pleasure?
I'll have a cup of coffee and... Oh, do you have a menu?
Menu's on the wall, lady.
Oh. A sweet roll. A cup of coffee and a sweet roll.
All right. Mister? I'll have the same.
Got you. Pastry fair.
What do you do, Mr. Peters?
The name is just plain Harry, and I do fine.
I mean, what do you do for a living?
Oh. I'm in the dairy business.
Oh, that's nice.
Here you are, folks. Your coffee? And a couple of sweet rolls.
Thank you.
Would you like some Hey, buddy.
What's the matter?
You drive up here in a black Oldsmobile?
Yes, why?
Well, somebody's driving off in it, and it ain't you.
This is Gloria. Let me talk to Mr. Sanderson. Oh, Harry.
Did you get hold of your father, Gloria?
Well, they're calling him to the phone.
Oh, good. I'm really terribly sorry.
Oh, here's my father. Excuse me, Harry. Hello, Mr. Sanderson.
Well, how's it going, Gloria?
Oh, very well, like clockwork.
Did Jimmy get the car?
Yes, he drove it off about 5 minutes ago.
You don't think the man has any knowledge?
Oh, he doesn't know a thing.
Can you lose him?
He's already lost. A very convenient truck driver offered me a ride into San Antonio.
Good. Very good.
I'll see you in about an hour. Goodbye. Well, there's that.
Your father isn't worried, I hope.
Oh, no, he's not worried.
You know, I don't like the idea of you riding to San Antonio in a truck.
Well, I've got to get there some way, and the man was kind enough to... Why don't you come along with us, Harry?
Oh, I'd love to, but the state police said wait here until the highway patrol comes, so I guess I'd better wait for a report on the car.
Oh, yes. I forgot all about that.
Hey, lady. If you want to ride with me, you'd better come on. I operate on a strict schedule.
Yeah, I'll be right with you. Goodbye, Harry.
Oh, wait a minute. Look, where can I find you in San Antonio?
Oh, you don't want to find me, Harry.
Oh, yes, I do.
No, you don't. There's something I didn't tell you. It wasn't my father on the phone. It was my husband.
Oh.
Goodbye, Harry.
Peters.
Hello, Mr. Harding.
You got the whole story, Peters?
Yes, I phoned in. Was someone able to stay behind my car?
Michael stuck with it all the way. He reported a short, curly-haired man about 30 grabbed it.
I didn't get a look at him.
Well, he drove up the highway to a few miles north of Divine, pulled off on a side road. He apparently lifted the stuff out of the back seat, and 5 minutes later, a Ford drove up. Michaels reported the curly-haired man got in, headed for San Antonio.
The timing is perfect.
Yeah. Well, what about the girl?
Well, Jones' truck pulled into the restaurant, and he put on a big act of sympathy and offered her a ride to San Antonio, and she took it.
Good for Jones. We'll hear from him just as soon as he drops her.
She won't get out any place near where she's going.
Oh, there's an agent behind Jones, isn't there?
Yes. He'll pick her up on foot. Now, we checked on the car that she left behind at the filling station. It was rented at San Antonio.
Oh. Well, I guess we're getting right on top of it, Peters.
We sure are, Dave. And we better nail them this time.
We'll get them. This is their last trip.
Yes? Who is it?
It's me, Gloria.
Well, hello, Gloria.
Mr. Sanderson.
Come in.
Well, how'd you like that for turning a trick?
It came off very well.
The poor man never knew what hit him. He'll find his car in a few hours. He'll go on back to Dallas and write the whole thing off as a streak of bad luck.
Where did the truck driver leave you?
Well, I told him I wanted to get out near the Gunther. He pulled that big 10-ton truck right up in front of the hotel and dropped it.
Now, you're positive no one was behind you?
Oh, no one. I walked 3 blocks, hopped the cab, and here I am.
Good work.
Did Jimmy bring the package and all that?
Oh, yes. Yes. Here it is.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We'll get the films moving east by tonight. And by Monday, they'll be spread to every agent of ours in the country. We're a step ahead of these people every foot of the way. Nothing will stop us, Gloria. Nothing.
I never doubted anything would.
All right, now. Let's get ready to move out. I want to be on our way east in an hour.
She was the kind of girl who would fool anyone. She could pull that stuff twice a week and never be...
San Antonio to car C5.
I'll take that. Harding, San Antonio. Go ahead.
Meeker reports curly-haired suspect who took car trailed the following address in San Antonio. 1842 Del Rosa.
1842 Del Rosa.
That's right, Mr. Harding. Suspect entered the house with suitcase apparently containing contraband. Left house 5 minutes later without the suitcase.
What kind of house is it, San Antonio?
A 2-story house, frame affair, front and back entrance. Suspect entered first floor door. Second floor has apparently unconnected occupant.
You have the house covered?
Meeker's on the spot. I'm heading there, too.
Okay, good. Now tell Meeker...
Just a minute, Mr. Harding.
I wonder what's up, Chief.
Johnson just checked in. He followed the girl from the Gunther Hotel to the same address.
That's more than coincidence, Chief.
Okay, San Antonio. Keep all agents on the spot. We're headed there right away. All right, Peter. See if you can get some speed out of this thing.
There's Jones, Mr. Harding.
Jones.
Hello, Chief. Peter. That's it. The yellow frame house across the street. They're on the first floor.
Where you got the men posted?
Meeker and Johnson are back in the alley. I got a pair up on the street in the car. Evans is standing in the doorway on this side.
Any idea who the occupant is?
Yeah, we checked around. Couldn't get much of a line on him. He moved in about a week ago. Neighbors say he's a big man. We haven't seen him much.
Is he in there, Jones?
Yeah. He opened up the door for both the curly-haired suspect and the girl.
All right. Let's go. You go up to the door with me, Peter. You follow us up, Jones.
Okay.
Give the boys a high sign. We're going to move in.
Okay. They got it, and they're ready.
All right, Jones. Come up behind us.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Oh. You knock, Peters. I'll cover you.
Right. I'll be glad to wind this one up.
So will I. Knock again.
Yes, who is it?
It's me.
You? Who are you? Oh!
Hello, Miss White. Surprise.
Well, Harry, how did you...
I did.
We're United States COUNTERSPY. We know that there's a man...
Hey, watch it!
That's him. Sanderson. Yeah. Oh!
You got it, Peter. Come on. You hit me. You hit me. Get me a doctor, will you?
All right, Sanderson. Take it easy. We'll get you a doctor.
I'm hit. I'm hit bad. I need a doctor.
What did you do to him? What did you do to him?
Sanderson's all right, lady. He's not hurt bad.
There are the films, Chief. All ready to go.
Yes, and the only place they're going is where we're taking them. And the only place these people are going is where we're putting them. Come on, all of you, let's go. This is David Harding. Here's a statement by the Honorable J. Edgar Hoover, Director, Federal Bureau of Investigation. The President of the United States, in restating the responsibilities of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, has called upon all law enforcement officers, patriotic organizations, and individuals to report information pertaining to espionage, sabotage, and subversive activities to the FBI. The following suggestions are made to assist patriotic organizations and individuals in complying with the President's request.
Be alert. Learn to know the enemies of the American way of life. If you suspect sabotage, espionage, or subversive activities, communicate with the nearest office of the FBI and furnish all facts in your possession. Once you have reported your information to the FBI, do not circulate rumors or endeavor to make private investigations. Leave the investigations to trained investigators who have access to data acquired over the years on individuals engaged in subversive activities.
The internal security of the United States can best be assured with the cooperation, aid, and assistance of every law-abiding person in our nation.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to COUNTERSPY. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Invisible Insurrectionist.
Behind the nationwide headlines of a recent murder attempt lies a strange story of a certain organization to whom misery was a necessity and treason a way of earning a living. How your counterspies answered this challenge by proving that charity doesn't always begin at home will be revealed for the first time next week in
Case of the Invisible Insurrectionist on COUNTERSPY. Tonight's COUNTERSPY program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. COUNTERSPY is a Phillips H. Lord production. Three chimes mean good times on NBC.
Washington calling David Harding, COUNTERSPY.
Harding, COUNTERSPY, calling Washington.
United States counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These COUNTERSPY reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the Case of the Invisible Insurrectionist.
Maria, the baby is crying again.
She does not sleep. And the doctor says it is sleep that she needs.
I know, Maria.
It is no good for her here in the city of New York. It is no good here for all of us, Juan. We should go back to Puerto Rico.
We will go back soon, Maria. Now, please try to make her stop. Please, my Maria.
See, I will try.
Salinas, my friend, come in.
Menard, I came as soon as I could. On the telephone, you sounded troubled. What is it?
Salinas, we have been cheated.
Cheated? I do not understand.
The man who promised to give us jobs in the mill in New Jersey.
You do not mean Mr. Franklin?
See, Mr. Franklin, the man to whom we all gave $50. The man who promised us jobs for that money. The man with whom we signed that contract. Salinas, he is a cheat, this Mr. Franklin.
Menard, how do you know this?
I have been there today in New Jersey.
You went to the mill?
Mill? There is no mill, my friend. It is all untrue.
No mill? No job? my $50 gone?
Yours and mine and all our friends who have come here from Puerto Rico for work. We must go to the police, Salinas.
No.
But this man Franklin must be punished.
First, we will go to this man, Franklin. I know where his office is. We will get what is rightfully ours in our own way.
That's quite an interesting story Menard has just told us, huh, Louis?
Sure is, Mr. Franklin.
You have cheated us all. Me, Salinas, and the others who have come here from Puerto Rico. I want my money back, Mr. Franklin.
So you want your money back, Menard. And you, Salinas? You don't feel the same way about it, huh, Salinas?
See, he does. Tell him, Salinas.
No harm will come to Menard. You promised, Mr. Franklin.
Salinas.
You were smart to bring him here, Salinas.
I do not understand.
You promise you will not harm Menard.
Mr. Franklin always keeps his word.
That's correct, Louis. I'll just see that Menard gets back to Puerto Rico. With what he knows now, it'd be unwise to allow him to remain here.
Salinas, you are this man's accomplice. You have helped him steal from me and your other friends.
It had to be done, Menard.
To take money from people who have so little.
No, it was not for the money. I am not a thief. It was for the good of our nation, Puerto Rico.
Our nation, Puerto Rico?
See, for its liberation. We must throw off the yoke of United States tyranny.
Then you are with the nationalists. They have made you betray your friends.
Oh, no, the cause. You do not understand, Menard.
I understand. You have been deceived by the real enemies of freedom. It is they who would impose tyranny upon us. Salinas, listen before it is too late.
Salinas understands that all sacrifices must be made for the good of the cause. Is that not correct, Salinas?
Yes.
That'll be all, Salinas. You may leave.
I cannot believe this, Salinas. All our lives we were such friends.
Louis, Menard is shot. Suppose you give him some shock treatment.
Sure, Mr. Franklin. What now, Mr. Franklin?
Well, take him down the back way and load him into the car.
Okay.
And Louis.
Yeah, Mr. Franklin?
Bring your gun with you. You'll need it.
Braden, this is Harry Peters, phoning from Counterspy Patrol Boat 41. I just received word that Mr. Harding's been trying to contact me.
Yes, Mr. Harding left hurriedly for a conference at the State Department with Mr. Jordan of the Puerto Rican Affairs Division. He instructed that you meet him in his car outside the State Department building at 11. The conference will be over by then. Mr. Harding said it was an urgent matter.
Got it, Braden. I'll be there.
All right, Adams. First stop, my house.
What's this time, Chief?
Here, Peters. Read this bulletin. Came in early this morning from our New York field office.
How does this concern us?
Well, Juan Menard, the man who was found shot to death, is one of an undetermined number of Puerto Ricans who were taken in by a job placement racket.
Only the jobs didn't exist, is that it?
That's it. After my talk with the Puerto Rican Affairs Division, I'm convinced that the racket is more political than financial.
You mean in view of what's been happening in Puerto Rico?
Yes, Peters. We've come across all types of sabotage, espionage, enemy propaganda. This is probably the most subtle plan ever conceived of creating anti-United States feeling among Puerto Ricans.
Chief, you mean these people come here from Puerto Rico with the promise of work? They're defrauded. Then they go back to Puerto Rico with stories of how they were taken over by some Yankee swindler.
Yes, that's right. And Juan Menard's murder could be the strongest propaganda point of all. You can understand now it's not just another murder case. It has overtones of insurrection attached to it. We've got a big job ahead of us.
Anything specific to go on, Mr. Harding?
Only a vague description of two men connected with the job placement racket.
Okay, Chief. When do I pack?
Now, you've got just enough time to stick a toothbrush in your pocket. We're flying to New York within half an hour.
Yes? Can I do something for you?
We're looking for Mrs. Juan Menard. I'm David Harding of the COUNTERSPY. This is Agent Harry Peters.
Oh, I'm Mrs. Gladys Milford. Won't you gentlemen come in?
Sure.
Mrs. Menard is out to have a drug prescription filled. It's for the youngest of the children, the baby. I take it you're here concerning her husband.
Yes, that's right. Are you a friend?
I suppose so, in a sense. I'm with the Welfare League. We give family counseling and aid in such neighborhoods as this.
Mm-hmm. You've known the Menards for long, Mrs. Milford?
Since they arrived here several months ago, I've arranged for the 2 older children to go to day nursery. At the moment, I'm looking after the infant in the next room.
I see. Well, is there anything you could tell us about Juan Menard?
I knew little about Mr. Menard. We met only once. This has been a terrible blow to his wife.
Yes.
We're doing everything for her we possibly can.
Did the baby cry, Mrs. Oh?
Maria, these men are from the COUNTERSPY.
COUNTERSPY?
They want to ask you questions about your husband.
About my Juan?
My name is Harding. This is Mr. Peters. We won't stay long, Mrs. Menard.
Just a few questions, and then we'll leave.
Why did they kill my Juan? He was a good man. He did not hurt anybody.
Well, Mrs. Menard, do you remember your husband ever mentioning the name of the man to whom he gave money for a job?
He did not tell me the name of this man. Oh, the baby, I must go to him.
I'll take care of her, Maria. Give me the medicine.
See?
Now, you do what you can to help Mr. Harding.
Oh, gracias, Mrs. Milford. Gracias.
Now, Mrs. Menard, who were the other men who gave money to this person?
Please, I do not want to talk about it. Juan is dead. You cannot bring him back.
No, Mrs. Menard. But we can bring his murderer to justice.
Justice? There is no justice in this place. We should have never come. My Juan would still be alive.
Mrs. Menard, your husband was sacrificed to an evil political cause.
I do not know about politics. I only know that we came here and my husband was killed. I only know that it is bad here, that the people here are bad, that we cannot...
Mrs. Menard, listen to me. That's exactly what certain people want all Puerto Ricans to believe. Now, if we don't find your husband's murderer, if you don't help us, there'll be other murders. More than that, there'll be possibly a great deal of bloodshed in your homeland. Now, you wouldn't want other wives, other families to suffer as you have, needlessly. Would you?
Would you, Mrs. Menard?
No. No, I would not want that.
Then who were the other men who gave money for jobs?
Well, when Pedro Salinas told them about it, they all gave.
Pedro Salinas?
See, Salinas and Juan have been friends for many years.
Where can we get in touch with Salinas?
I do not know where he lives. He was here with Juan the night...
He left the house with Juan that night, Miss Menard?
See.
And you don't know where we can find Salinas?
Oh, the girl he has, Lola, maybe she knows.
You have her address?
Oh, no, but she works at a restaurant on 110th Street. It's called the El Toro.
I see.
You will find the one who killed my Juan.
We're going to try, Mrs. Menard. And we'll start looking with Pedro Salinas' girlfriend, Lola.
So you're COUNTERSPY. So what?
So we'd like to ask you a few questions, Lola.
Huh? About what?
Your friend, Pedro Salinas.
Where is he?
I don't know where he is.
Or where does he live? That is, when you do know where he is.
He never told me.
Never told you, hmm? Funny kind of a boyfriend?
Yeah. Funny kind.
When did you see him last?
Last week.
Where?
What's the difference?
Now, don't make it rough, girlie. It's better answering questions here than in a jail cell.
My place. Okay.
Which is where?
106th Street, 785 East. One flight up, not twice.
You didn't see him after that?
Uh-uh.
Or hear from him?
Uh-uh.
No phone calls, letters, postcards, anything?
Sure you haven't heard from him since Juan Menard was found in that alley, shot to death.
Who's Juan Menard?
As if you didn't know, hmm?
You two act like I'm a book of knowledge or something. Look, you got any more questions? I make my living here. The boss will get sore if he sees me wasting any more time.
No more questions, Lola. Just a word of advice.
Like what?
Stay here in town where we can get in touch with you.
I ain't going anyplace.
All right, come on, Peter.
Lola's the Lulu of the liar, Mr. Harding.
You're telling me.
Could have taken her in for questioning.
We may do better this way.
Which way?
When we get out to the patrol car, radio the field office to have a stakeout put on Lola's apartment. I think that may offer us the shortest distance between us and Pedro Salinas.
Hello.
Mr. Franklin, this is Pedro Salinas.
Salinas, where have you been? Why haven't you called me since the other night?
I have been hiding. After what happened to Juan Menard, I was afraid.
I'll explain that later. I want you to bring me the contract, the one you've been persuading your friends to sign. You still have it, don't you?
Yes.
All right, bring it to me. And not at the office here. I'll be at the warehouse near Mott Street. You know where. Hey, get there as soon as you can. I'll be waiting for you. All right, Salinas. I'll take that contract now.
Mr. Franklin, you promised that no harm would come to Juan Menard. He was my friend.
What has become of your feelings for the cause? That should be far above personal consideration, Salinas.
You promised me.
It couldn't be helped. He made things difficult for Lewis. Isn't that correct, Lewis?
That's right, Mr. Franklin.
You lied to me, both of you. You wanted one dead.
You're trying my patience, Salinas. You give me the paper with the signatures.
Do like Mr. Franklin says.
I do not have them. What? I did not bring them with me.
Where are they, Salinas?
I will not tell.
Lewis.
Okay. My arm. My arm.
I'll break it off. The paper, Salinas.
No. I will not tell. I will.
Come on.
Stop. Please, stop. I can't stand it.
The paper.
It's in the house of Juan Menard. Oh.
He's out on his feet.
Now, Lewis, we'll visit Mrs. Menard. We'll leave Salinas here.
That way, Mr. Franklin?
No, Lewis, not that way. This way.
You are listening to the case of the Invisible Insurrectionist on COUNTERSPY. Tonight there's another broadcast of NBC's Sunday evening extravaganza, The Big Show. Tallulah Bankhead will preside as usual, and tonight's stars are Bob Hope, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, Louis Armstrong, Rosalind Russell, Dorothy McGuire, Frankie Lane, and Meredith Wilson with his orchestra and chorus. And Sunday over most of these NBC stations also means another visit with the mischievous Harris family. Frankie, Julius, and all their friends on the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. The chimes are your invitation every Sunday to the Big Show and the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. Now, back to COUNTERSPY.
New York COUNTERSPY Field Office, Harding speaking. Yes, I certainly do. Go ahead. Yes, I have that. Well, thank you very much. Yes, of course, I'll let you know what happens. And goodbye. Peters, order a car to be ready for us out front immediately.
What's up, Chief?
That was Lola. Salinas told her to call us in case of trouble.
Does she know where we can locate Salinas?
Yes, Peters, if we're not too late.
Maria, you must try to rest.
Oh, you are very kind, Mrs. Milford. There are some people here in the city of New York who are so good, like you, and some who are so bad.
Were you expecting anyone?
No, I didn't.
Now, you stay right where you are. I'll see who it is. Yes?
Back inside, lady, and not a peep out of you.
Who are you?
Close the door, Lewis.
What is the
Shut
meaning?
your mouth, lady, and no one gets hurt.
Mrs. Milford, who are these men? What do they want?
I don't know, Maria.
It's all very simple, ladies. Juan Menard had in his possession a paper. I want that paper, Mrs. Menard.
I do not understand.
The work contract.
Contract? I do not know what you mean.
Well, perhaps you don't. Lewis, commence searching.
Okay.
This is unlawful.
Isn't it?
You can't expect to get away with a thing like this.
But I intend to, madam. Really. Any luck, Lewis?
No, not yet.
Be seated, ladies. Please. Thank you. I'll just wander around myself and help Lewis. Yeah, there's not much of a view from this window, is there? Or is there? Come on, Lewis.
Come on. What about the paper?
The car just pulled up downstairs. 2 men got out and entered this building, and they certainly don't look like tenants.
Maybe cops.
We'll take no chance in finding out. Let's go. I warn you, ladies, stay right where you are.
Come on. Let's get going.
They're coming up to this floor.
We're trapped.
No, we can get up to the roof. Come on.
Stop, you two! Stop or we fire!
Coppers, Mr. Franklin. Now, this'll slow them up. My arm.
Keep going, Lewis. Almost there. Keep going, Lewis. We'll make it. We'll make it.
They made it, Mr. Harding. They got away over the roof.
Well, their luck won't hold out, Peters. We'll get them.
Plenty of bloodstains on the stairs leading to the roof. One of them's hurt. He'll have to get to a doctor sometime. Everything all right here in the Menard apartment?
No damage. Just woke up the baby. Mrs. Milford's inside helping Mrs. Menard.
Did your men catch them, Mr. Harding?
No, Mrs. Milford.
This has been terribly upsetting for Maria.
Yes, that poor woman's had plenty of trouble.
They said they wanted a paper, a contract of some kind.
Yes, we knew that from Pedro Salinas.
You found Salinas?
Just a few moments before he died in a warehouse. He was shot by a man named Franklin. There was also another man called Lewis.
Salinas told us to get here fast.
Well, did those two find the paper?
I don't think so.
Good. All right, Peters, you get started on that other matter while I take up where those two left off.
Peters in car C1 to Harding, New York Counterspy Field Office. Peters to Harding.
Harding, go ahead, Peters.
Chief, I checked on Franklin at the address Salinas gave us.
And?
It was an office, but right now it's just an empty space. Whoever was there pulled out like a fast freight.
Did you get any leads from anybody in the building?
It was strictly a dead end, Chief. No one knows the man called Franklin or his helper, Lewis.
All right, Peter. You may as well come back here to the field office.
You had no luck either,
I fared much better.
You mean you found that contract in the Menard apartment?
Yes. I sent the paper down to the lab for analysis. By the time you get back here, we should have a report on it.
I gotta get out of here, Mr. Franklin.
Easy, Lewis. We'd be picked up in a minute if we left here.
I gotta get to a doctor. My whole arm now is burning like it was on fire.
You mustn't complain. We were lucky to find this empty barge to hide in.
I can't stand it. Honest.
You'll survive, I'm sure.
Yeah. You can talk. You ain't got a slug in you. I don't want to die. If I stay here, I'll die.
Believe me, I sympathize with you, but you have the counter-spies to thank for your pain, not me.
I'm getting to a doctor.
Wait a minute.
Let go.
Are you crazy? You'll be caught.
I'm giving up. I'll wind up in one piece that way.
Get back down.
Oh, my arm.
You're not giving up. I'm not letting you.
That gun ain't going to help you, Franklin. You fire one shot, and coppers will be swarming all over this barge.
I'm not going to use it for firing, Lewis. I'm going to use the butt end for another purpose. This.
Here's the lab report on that paper, Mr. Harding. I was on the way in when Parker handed it to me.
Did you look it over, Peter?
Quickly. It's an expensive type bomb.
Yeah.
And here's a list of retailers in the city who handle it.
That's quite a long list.
Mm-hmm. Should I assign squads to start investigation?
Yes, right away.
Okay, we'll do.
And Peter... Oh, wait, just a minute.
Agent Braden to Harding. Braden to Harding.
Come in, Braden.
The body of a man who'd been shot in the right arm was found a few minutes ago by one of our harbor patrols.
Hey, go ahead, Braden.
It was found in an empty barge. Report indicates death was due to severe blows at the base of the head. Identification in clothing shows him to be Lewis, Troy.
All right, Braden. Thank you.
The man called Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chief, that leaves one to go. Franklin.
Yes. Well, I'll get to work on that list of paper dealers. We'll see where that leads us.
Hello. This is Franklin. I have to see you tonight. Please. I'll need money. I'd better leave the country. All right, then. The swamp over in New Jersey. All right. I'll be there at 10 tonight. So late. I thought you weren't coming.
I was unavoidably detained, Franklin.
You brought the money for me, Mrs. Milford?
I brought exactly what you need. Franklin, you fumbled badly.
You ordered me to get rid of Juan Menard. That was your idea.
It wasn't my idea that his body should be found.
That was Louis' fault.
It was your fault for choosing such an inefficient lieutenant. Was it Lewis's fault that you permitted that contract to get out of your hands so that you had to come to the Menard apartment while I was there?
How did I know you were there? I had to act quickly.
So quickly you were almost caught by Harding. Franklin, your stupidity has put the entire cause in jeopardy. I and the others worked for months, years, to gain a solid foothold in Puerto Rico, where we could threaten the snug bourgeois safety of the United States.
But I tell you...
Be quiet. It took me years to place myself in a position in New York where I could help with the eventual overthrow of the capitalistic enemy. And you almost spoiled everything.
You haven't been exposed, Mrs. Milford. You can still operate safely.
Through no help of yours. You put our schedule for the coup in Puerto Rico at least 6 months behind.
We've waited so long, we can wait that much longer.
Perhaps we can, Franklin. But you can't.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
You can no longer be trusted.
Now, wait.
I have been put in charge of this phase of our work. And it is my opinion that for the good of the cause, you should be liquidated. Don't move.
But...
As they say, Franklin, he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. Or in this case, the gun.
You wouldn't dare.
As a matter of fact, Franklin, this is the only course I dare take now.
Oh, wait, please.
This meeting place you chose makes it very convenient for me.
And for me, too, Mrs. Milford.
Harding.
Drop that gun.
Stand where you are, Franklin.
I'm not moving.
How did you get here?
Simple. We followed you, Mrs. Milford.
Followed me.
Through that contract paper. We thought the tracing of that type paper would lead us to Franklin, but it led us straight to your phony charity front. And on the way out in the car, my agents radioed me that they found some very interesting case histories in your files, with names and addresses of people here and in Puerto Rico involved in this plot.
Had a nice setup, didn't you, Mrs. Milford? Passing yourself off as a welfare worker in a Puerto Rican district in New York.
You were a welfare worker, all right. The welfare of the enemies of this country and Puerto Rico. Take them away, Peters. It gives me great pleasure to introduce a statement to COUNTERSPY from the man who probably knows as much as anyone in the United States about the Puerto Rican people and their welfare problems here. The Honorable Raymond M. Hilliard, Commissioner of Welfare, City of New York. Here is Commissioner Hilliard's statement.
Today's COUNTERSPY story has its basis in actual fact. I can well believe that many Puerto Ricans living here have been the victims of cruel and crooked exploitation. And I am convinced that communist saboteurs have deliberately stirred up trouble and have tried to wreck the unity of the citizens of this city and of the nation. I know that there was a time when communists had achieved a strong hold among those engaged in welfare work in this city. But it has been my task during the past 2.5 years to break their power, to throw out the communists, and to return welfare work to its proper place as an instrument of lawful government. We have found the Puerto Rican residents of New York City a decent and friendly people who hold that this government is their government. We are proud of them, and we know that they will not be deceived by those who would try to destroy us.
Thank you, Commissioner Hilliard.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to COUNTERSPY. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Prety Plant.
A gracious guest brings her hospitable hostess a most unusual gift, and your counter-spies are started on their way to the breaking up of an international spy ring. How a drugstore led to the disaster when treason had the fragrance of hyacinth will be revealed for the first time next week in
Case of the Prety Plant on Counter-Spy. Tonight's Counter-Spy program, originated in New York, was directed by Mark B. Loeb, dramatized by Edward J. Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Manda L. Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counter-Spy is a Phillips H. Lord production. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Want to know who's on the big show tonight? Bob Hope, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, Rosalind Russell, Frankie Lane, Dorothy McGuire, Louis Armstrong, Meredith Wilson, and the glamorous and predictable Tallulah. No wonder it's the big show. And Sunday evening also means another outstanding production by Theater Guild on the Air. Tonight, it's Boomerang starring Kirk Douglas. Join Tallulah and her wonderful guests on the big show, later on NBC. The National Broadcasting Company presents Counter-Spy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy. Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Harding, Counter-Spy, calling Washington.
United States Counter-Spies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These Counter-Spy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. At the end of today's broadcast, you will hear an in-person report from an outstanding undercover counter-espionage agent for the U.S. government, Angela Calamiris. Now, the Case of the Prety Plant.
You made nice time through this New York traffic, Sam. Now wait here, please.
Oh, my.
Good evening, madam. Are you the landlady?
I own the house, but I guess you'd say I'm the landlady.
Well, my name is Peters. My credentials?
Can't see without my glasses. If you'll wait just a minute.
Well, never mind. I'm a United States counter-spy.
Mister, you could be the president. I still haven't got a vacancy. Not even the top floor rear, $6 a week bath on the fifth floor sheets changed every week.
I don't want a room, madam. You have a boarder named Scuba. Can you tell me what room he's in?
Oh, Mr. Scuba. Never had a better paying tenant in 22 years. No, 23. Come in.
Thank you.
He's got the second floor parlor front, $12 a week, bath with towel twice a week.
Well, you don't have to go up, madam. If you'll just tell me
Got
which...
to go up to the third floor anyway. Miss Tillinghaft's got a leak again. Watch the bottom step. Prophet's tour.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry, I've got to go so slow. But my heart's not what it used to be.
No. Yes.
Whew. Landing. Good rule always to take a rest on each landing. Adds years to your life.
Mr. Scuba's room?
This one right here.
Oh.
I'm sure he's in. Tommy?
Excuse me. Just a second. Is this John Scuba?
Sure, that's him, only I never would have dreamed he'd go to sleep all dressed. And... He's not asleep.
He's dead.
Counter-Spy, New York field office.
Hello, Miss Morgan. This is Peters. Mr. Harding get in from Washington yet?
About 5 minutes ago, Mr. Peters. Just a second.
Hello, Peters. Bad news, Mr. Harding. John Scuba's been strangled and the document's not in his room. What do you make of it? See, if I was in Oklahoma City this afternoon and got your wire to come here, grab this fellow and meet you, I don't know the case at all. Remain where you are, Peters. I'll hop right over.
questioned the landlady, Chief. She was in her own apartment downstairs all evening.
What about the other boarders?
7 were home. None saw or heard anything. Strangling can be quiet.
Well, I left word for an examination crew to follow me here. They'll give the whole place a going over. Anything in these drawers here?
Shirts, underwear, and so on. Chief, who is, or rather was, Scuba? What's the missing document?
Well, the tip came through our regular domestic counter-espionage division. Scuba, a courier for a certain communist spy ring, was ready to change sides. Hey, how about this closet here?
Ordinary clothes. He an American?
In the process of becoming a citizen. Obviously, his bosses learned he was going to change sides. Now, the document is supposed to be a list of about 5,000 prominent citizens around the country who might be blackmailed with facts about them.
Blackmail? By spies?
That's an old Nazi stunt. Their agents used to compile blackmail material, real or forged, against prominent people in countries surrounding Germany. They use it to prevent these people from resisting Nazi activities. Same idea here, only used by communists, and much more efficiently.
If that list gets out of this country, Chief.
We mustn't let it because... What's this?
Little package? I don't know. I haven't touched it.
From Weiner's Drugstore, 1217 Harper Avenue.
Scuba bought some toothpaste, I suppose.
Maybe, but on the other hand, this package may tell us exactly who killed Scuba. You wait here for the crew, Peters. I'm taking this right back to the field office for examination.
Sorry to have kept you waiting, darling.
I was 15 minutes late myself, Don.
Say, this isn't the table I told Jocko to reserve.
Don't bother. Cozy enough.
You're looking lovely as always, Irene. Cocktail?
We've already had a Gibson.
I'll join you in another. Then canapes?
Pate.
We'll make that too. Then what?
J-Pond?
Filet of soul for me.
What's the matter?
I have a surprise for you. Shall I tell you now?
No, of course.
It's not only a surprise. It's a gift from me to you. How would you like to take a trip to the Azores? By plane, leaving Tuesday, day after tomorrow. Stay there a week and fly back.
Don! Oh, it's wonderful. Traveling's my favorite thing.
I was sure you'd like it. I've already booked the flight for you. My Aunt Stella will put you up. You met her in New York last winter, you remember?
Oh, perfectly. Well, she has a large villa in the Azores, hasn't she?
On a hilltop overlooking the water. And I'll give you something to take to her. Gift for her, too.
Good. She's going to have a virtual stranger for a guest. A guest can at least bring a gift.
I have it in my pocket. I'll give it to you later.
Jewelry? Now, don't get me in trouble with the customs anywhere, Don.
No, it's a list.
A list? How dumb.
Well, Aunt Stella's active in various international relief organizations. This is a list of people all over the states who might contribute. I got it up for her.
Oh, Doug, did you pick up my perfume at Weiner's Drugstore? Well, Doug, what's the...
Yes, I did, Irene, but I'm afraid I forgot it somewhere.
Oh, Don, what a stupid thing to do.
Yes, I know.
Well, we can go by later and pick it up. Remember where...
No. Well, I imagine the place will be closed. I'll get some really good perfume somewhere else tomorrow.
But, Dunk, I can't use the regular commercial brand. Weiner's been making this hyacinth blend for me for a long time.
Irene, this is very important. I want you never to go to Weiner's again. And if you're ever asked, you must deny that I picked up that package for you today.
I better know why, Dunk.
Because I've made a serious mistake. If it's ever found out, I won't be able...
I beg your pardon, sir.
Yes?
This is Miss Irene Storm?
Yes.
You are Mr. Irving Duncan?
Who are you?
I'm a United States counter-spy. You're both under arrest. Several of my men are scattered among the other patrons. Will you come with me, please? We have arrived. Will you both get out?
Dunk, what is it?
You better go.
Straight ahead to the house.
House way off by itself. A funny place for counter-spies to operate.
We pick our bases of operation to suit the case, Miss Storm. Just a moment. Come in. This way, Miss Storm, please. Wait in there, please. Don't try to leave. The house is thoroughly guarded. Thank you. Now, if you'll step into the living room with me, Mr. Duncan. Now, first, Mr. Duncan, the document you're carrying in your inside jacket pocket. Let me have it.
Very well.
Thank you. The murder of Scuba was well done, Mr. Duncan.
I never heard of anybody named Scuba.
You would never have been detected except that I was in the next room, the vacant one. I left a moment after you did.
I deny everything. I demand my constitutional rights. I insist upon being allowed to phone my attorney.
That's very good, Mr. Duncan.
What?
Look at this ring on my finger. Notice the pattern of tiny scratches? You understand.
Valviki. You. I didn't know you were even in this country.
This list is important. I had to be sure my orders to liquidate Scuba were carried out correctly. I am satisfied. As far as you are concerned, did everything go well?
Yes, perfectly. As to the list, Irene Storm is ready to leave the day after tomorrow.
I wonder if you confuse beauty with reliability.
Beauty was...
I didn't pose as a counter-spy this evening to amuse myself, Duncan. I'm afraid your Irene Storm is a real counter-spy agent.
Mr. Harding?
Come in, Peter.
I left the crew working at the boarding house, Chief. Looks like a dead end. How about that little package?
Take a whiff of this bottle.
Smells expensive.
Now, here's some litmus paper. Pour a little on.
Turns blue.
Because this perfume contains a special coloring agent.
Put in by Weiner? Why?
Weiner's is a famous old-style drugstore, Peters. He makes up special perfumes for a few favored customers. Of course, anybody might buy perfume there, so... At first, I wasn't sure what finding this package in Scuba's room meant. But this color test, which is prearranged between us and Weiner's, proves it was made for a certain person. It's a means of identification. And has several uses.
You mean a woman you know bought it and left it in Scuba's room?
That's what I'm not sure of. Now, flip that light switch, will you, Peter? I want to show you a sound film clip taken earlier today. That's Weiner's drugstore. Empty at the moment.
Strictly 1890.
Yes, no fountain, no chromium, just prescriptions. Now, these films were taken from a closet in the back room at Weiner's. The camera covers the prescription counter, and as you see, the 2 chairs for customers while orders are made up in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Good afternoon, sir.
That's old man Weiner.
Good afternoon. Help you, sir?
You have a package from Miss Irene Storm. She asked me to pick it up for her.
Oh, yes, sir. The hyacinth perfume. It's right here.
How much is it?
I send Miss Storm a monthly bill, sir.
Oh, will you wrap the bottle, please?
Just take a seat for a moment, sir. I'll be right back.
Yes.
That's the man who liquidated Scuba, Peters. Irving Duncan poses as a travel agent. Unfortunately, according to the report I just received, he eluded surveillance tonight.
He's the one who left the package in that room by mistake.
I'm sure it was a mistake because he must realize by now it can be traced to Weiner's, from Weiner's to Irene Storm, and Irene Storm might give him away.
Unless she's in the ring, too.
She is.
Here you are, sir, the package for Miss Storm.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day.
Now, that's all.
Chief, the coloring agent is put only into perfume made for this Irene Storm as identification, you said.
And as an excuse to go to Weiner's, or to expose certain individuals to our observation post.
Then Irene Storm is...
Of course. She's a counter-spy.
You are listening to the case of the Prety Plant on Counter-Spy. And later you will meet in person one of our government's most daring counter-espionage agents, Angela Calamiris. For your Christmas Eve listening pleasure, there's another hour-and-a-half broadcast of NBC's Sunday extravaganza, The Big Show, later today over most of these NBC stations. The glamorous, unpredictable Tallulah Bankhead will preside as usual, and her stars include Jimmy Durante, Ed Wynn, Charles Boyer, Margaret O'Brien, Meredith Wilson, and many, many more. There's another outstanding production by Theatre Guild on the air today also. It's Charles Dickens' classic David Copperfield, and Boris Karloff stars as the grasping Uriah Heep. The immortal pages of Dickens come to life later on Theater Guild on the Air. Now, back to COUNTERSPY.
Now, Miss Storm, I hope you weren't bored waiting.
Bored? Hardly. Angry? Quite. I demand to know why I'm being held.
Duncan can't hear us, Miss Storm. Have you seen Mr. Harding lately? Or Peters?
Who?
Our chiefs in the counterspies.
I don't know them, and I don't know you. I'm a nightclub singer. Except I'm not working now. I'm a friend of Irving Duncan's. We see a lot of each other, but that's all.
Miss Storm, Mr. Harding told me to say that you can speak frankly about your observations of the Duncan group.
The what?
Irving Duncan heads a group of ruthless spies in this country. Enemies of this country. You know that, since it's your job as a counterspy to report on them. Mr. Harding's very pleased with your report.
You've got me mixed up with somebody else. I'm Irene Storm, nightclub singer, period.
Duncan has just admitted that he's sending you to the Azores by plane on Tuesday, carrying an important paper.
Oh. Well, that's true.
I see.
Making me a present of the trip. I have no objection to taking expensive presents from a good friend like Mr. Duncan. And the document? It's only a list of people who might give money to relief organizations or something.
You're stubborn, Miss Storm.
There is no door in the curtain of steel.
What? Excuse me a moment. Duncan, come in.
Yes.
I like your friend, Irene Storm, Duncan. I don't think she believed for a moment that I'm a counterspy.
I did it first, until I said...
Careful, Miss Storm.
Don't worry. You couldn't control your facial expression, Mr.
Valviki.
You recognized it as the code statement of Echelon 2. A higher echelon than you and Duncan. Are we through with all this now?
Of course. I'm anxious to see you take off on Tuesday with that list. Here it is.
Thanks. I have some shopping to do tomorrow, including perfume.
Irene, I promised to get some for you.
Leave that to me, Dunk. Unless Mr. Valviki would like to help me with my shopping.
Delighted, Miss Storm. Now, how about a drink or two to celebrate tomorrow?
Winer's Drugstore, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Warner. This is Irene Store. I find I need 2 more bottles of Hyacinth perfume. Could you have them ready for me by 4 this afternoon?
Let's see.
I'm taking the morning plane to the Azores.
Well, in that case, Miss Storm, 4 o'clock this afternoon.
It's kind of a small space, Peters, but we can both squeeze in here. The camera works automatically, huh? It's controlled from upstairs. Men are on duty during all hours. The drugstore's open. Now, take a look through the one-way viewer here.
It's the same view as the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Counter, customers, chairs. Chief, suppose Irene Storm brings Duncan with her. Do you want to grab him?
No. Grabbing him might alert other group members. We don't know. Wait, hold it.
And then I told Duncan he took me home last night. Not another drink. I've had enough.
She's right on time.
That's not Duncan with her.
A new man.
Is your perfume ready, Miss Storm?
Well, it ought to be.
Hello, Miss Storm.
Hello, Mr. Weiner. My Hyacinth's ready?
Please sit down. I'll be right back.
Oh, sit down here, Mr. Valviki.
Valviki.
You know him, Dad?
Top man of their Western Hemisphere Bureau. How did he get into the country?
You know, women never cease to amaze me, Miss Storm. Going to all this trouble for a few drops of perfume.
There's a whip on his handkerchief. Don't you like it?
Bet you I'd like it.
Mind on the case, Peters. You can see why she's an effective agent.
That's a lovely house you have, Mr. Valviki. I've never been on Random Road before.
In the future, I hope you will see it again.
House on Random Road, Peters.
Got it.
Miss Storm?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Weiner. On the bill?
Of course.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Weiner, has anyone unusual been asking here about me?
No, Miss Storm. Nobody at all.
Oh, thanks again. Goodbye.
Bye.
bright girl getting Valviki in here.
Apparently, he doesn't know that Duncan left that bottle in Scuba's room or he wouldn't have come.
Well, Irene must have some angle on that. She asked Weiner if anybody'd been looking for her, and Valviki gave her a look of sudden suspicion. She's got some plan on foot. Let's go.
Hello?
Hello, darling.
Oh, yes, Don.
I just had a call from our friend. He wants us both to come out to his house again this evening. He's very anxious.
Good. I'm very anxious to see him again, Don. Oh, pick me up here about 8 or so?
Your highball, Miss Storm?
Thanks.
Yours, Duncan?
Yes, thanks.
You are packed to leave, Miss Storm.
I finished up after you took me home this afternoon.
The list?
Quite safe.
Miss Storm, I've been puzzling over something you said in that drugstore.
What did I say?
You asked if anyone unusual had inquired after you. You're too clever to say things idly. Who specifically might be inquiring after you?
Valviki, I don't see any point in all
I thought
this.
the police might have come to Weiner's.
Why?
Irene.
Because yesterday afternoon, Dunk picked up a bottle of perfume for me there and forgot it somewhere else. And I'm afraid in Scuba's room.
Yeah. And of course it could be traced. Duncan, I asked you if you'd left any loose ends. Why did you conceal this?
I wasn't sure I left it there. Probably I didn't. Nothing's come of it. Irene, I asked you to protect me.
A loose end like that is dangerous and has to be tested, and I wanted Valviki to know.
You could have simply told me, Miss Storm. It was a risk to go back to Weiner's. For you and for me.
The list is the main thing. I didn't risk that.
Yes, quite right. Even so,
Oh. Valviki, you fired those shots.
From my pocket. Duncan was too careless. He had to be disposed of. Now we have no loose ends. I'll hide him in the cellar. You take off tomorrow. I go tonight.
Valviki?
I expect no one.
Neighbors? Police?
Maybe we were traced from Weiner's after all. You have the list at home. Go get it. Keep it safe whatever you do. Leave by the back door. I'll cover you.
You'll be taken, Valviki. Maybe killed.
I'm always ready for that.
No. There's still one more thing for you to do. I order you to come with me.
Very well. Maybe we can both make it the back way.
Come on.
Peter? Here's Duncan.
Yeah. Dead.
The girl and Valviki are gone. Maybe the back way.
Hold it, Peter. I don't want Valviki caught just yet.
What?
Not just yet. Get on our car radio. Warn Edwards and Samuels not to grab those two. Only tail them.
Don't take me right to my apartment, Valviki. Better let me out here.
But I'm sure we were traced through Weiner's drugstore. Counter-spies may be at your apartment now.
Give me a little credit, Valviki. I've removed everything dangerous from there. I'll be able to take off safely tomorrow morning.
I hope you're right.
There's one thing you've got to do at once. Communicate with headquarters overseas that I'm on my way to the Azores. Confirm my arrival.
Yes, all right. I have a transmitter in a warehouse.
Goodbye, Valviki. I'll probably never see you again.
Goodbye. And good luck.
Dave.
Yeah?
There's a faint light in that far corner of the warehouse.
Yeah, come on.
And this is R24 in New York. An urgent message, Mexico, for transmission at once to overseas about Agent T-171.
Valviki, Dave, at a short-wave sender.
Reporting about Irene Storm.
Let's grab him.
No, wait. Let him report. Then Irene Storm can still work safely in that spy ring.
Listen, Mexico. Report to overseas. T-171 has the list. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., New York time, she will fly to the Azores. Tell Aunt Stella, T-171 is absolutely reliable. This is R24 cutting out.
All right, Peter, now.
All right, Valviki, United States counter-spies. You're under arrest.
I? Under arrest?
Peter, take a look at that transmitter.
Right.
Valviki, we're taking you in on suspicion of being a communist spy. What message did you send on this radio?
Message? Where? To whom?
Valviki, your spying days are over. Peter's calling the mobile squad. Take this place over. And Valviki, too. This is David Harding. In the case we've just presented, your counterspies were, of course, trained, experienced agents. But sometimes your government, in its fight against those who want to destroy it, calls upon average citizens. One such citizen is here now, at your counterspy microphone. She is Angela Calomaris, who, after a long period of posing as a communist, recently revealed her experiences in her best-selling book published by the J.B. Lippincott Company, titled Red Masquerade. Now, here in person, is Angela Calomaris.
8 years ago, I was a photographer in New York with no idea except to get ahead in my profession. For the next 7 years, I posed as a communist. I pretended to believe fanatically in the brutal, dishonest, anti-democratic cause of communism. And all that time, I reported communist activities regularly to the FBI. Why was I chosen for this unpleasant work? I was single, I came from an average family, and believed absolutely in our American democratic way of life. But I seemed to be typical communist material. It was important to know how communists worked, how they piped their vicious ideas into the ordinary stream of American life. So, at the request of the FBI, I became a member of the Communist Party. Discipline is iron. There is a pretense of democratic procedure, but actually everything happens in slavish obedience to whatever the Soviet Union wants. Under orders as a communist, I helped prolong strikes. I participated in demonstrations in Washington. I helped defeat the first anti-subversive action by Congress, the Munt-Nixon bill. In 1947, I participated in a national survey which resulted in a detailed blueprint for sabotage. In 1948, I helped reorganize the Communist Party in line with this blueprint. I helped promote communist and pro-communist candidates in elections. I raised funds, and with every other party member and fellow traveler, I gave at least 2 weeks' pay to 2 or 3 fund drives a year. And I personally met thousands of communists. I joined at least a dozen front organizations and 1 communist-dominated union. And all that time, I reported to the FBI. I reported in person, in meetings carefully arranged and camouflaged, by phone, always followed by written reports. The danger of exposure was always with me, but I was never exposed until I went into court last year to testify for the government as a surprise witness in the trial of the 11 Communist Party leaders. What did my work accomplish? On still one more front, I was able to show how communists, wrapping themselves in the American flag, work only for a system that wants to destroy everything our country stands for. The Communist Party is still a dangerous underground network. Communists are in every walk of life. Our country has never faced such a vicious threat. It is up to you, individual citizens, to combat communism wherever you find it. Communists mean business. I hope you do, too.
Thank you, Miss Calomaris. And good luck with your book, Red Masquerade. Through the efforts of patriotic citizens like yourself and trained government agents, the activities of subversive groups will be constantly under surveillance, so that free men will continue to remain free.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to COUNTERSPY. Listen next week for the exciting case of the Kleptomaniac Clues.
When certain papers, invaluable to the nation's mobilization plans, were reported missing, your counterspies subtracted a teakwood figure from a whatnot shop and found it added up to murder. To learn how this crime, multiplied by intrigue and divided by espionage, resulted in one of the strangest cases in counterspy history, listen next week to
Case of the Kleptomaniac Clues on COUNTERSPY. Tonight's COUNTERSPY program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Paul R. Milton, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. COUNTERSPY is a Phillips H. Lord production. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. By transcription, the National Broadcasting Company presents COUNTERSPY.
Washington calling David Harding, COUNTERSPY. Washington calling David Harding, COUNTERSPY.
Harding, COUNTERSPY, calling Washington.
United States counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These counter-spy reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the case of the Kleptomaniac Clues.
Going on a little trip, Mr. Trafford?
What the?
I wanted to see you before you left Frisco.
Hey, who are you? And how did you get into my hotel room?
What's the difference?
I'll call the manager and have
Drop that phone, Trafford. That's better.
What is this? What's that gun for? What do you want?
That briefcase you're carrying?
What?
The briefcase. Hand it over and you won't get hurt.
I'll do no such thing.
Give me that.
You won't get away with this.
Shut up. Sit down in that chair. Now, we'll just tie you up so you won't make no fuss while I'm blowing out of here.
Just why? Why are you doing this? Just why?
For dough. What else? I don't know what's inside this thing, but certain people are willing to pay plenty to find out.
Well, Mitchell, you glad to be back in San Francisco again? Or is that a foolish question?
In view of being met at the boat by you, love, let's say it's a superfluous one.
Darling. Always the appropriate sentiment.
Well, the Orient has its fascination, Elise, but it does not have you.
I hope it was dull, of course.
Oh, business was quite good, but nothing else. And speaking of business, how is our little curio shop with its clocks, knickknacks, and whatnot?
Excellent, darling.
Good.
I'm expecting a rather interesting shipment soon.
Oh? Will that mean another seagoing excursion for me?
It could. Perhaps I'll go with you this time. Would you like that?
I refuse to answer a question like that. Its intent is much too obvious.
Ah, darling. Oh, here we are.
Here you are, driver. Keep the change.
I left Doreen in charge of the shop.
Oh? How is she?
As usual. She handles the carriage trade exceedingly well.
Uh-huh.
At times I think you're a bit too interested in her.
What? Oh, nonsense, Elise. Why, she's hardly more than a child.
Yes, I know that, but do you?
Oh, Miss Conrad, you're back.
Well, hello, Doreen.
How are you, Mr. Monroe? Nice to see you back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. How have you been?
Just fine, thank you. Was your trip successful?
Mm-hmm, very.
I'm glad.
Doreen, were there any messages while I was gone?
No, Miss Pomeroy, but there's a man waiting to see you in your office.
A man?
Mr. O'Mac. A very curious thing happened.
Curious?
Yes, I could have sworn he deliberately put one of our teakwood figures in his pocket.
What?
And as though he realized I'd seen him, he put it back on the display shelf. But perhaps it was a mistake.
Perhaps. Come along to the office, Mitchell. Mr. O'Mac may be a buyer.
Yes, or a seller. See you later, Doreen. That's a lovely girl.
If one likes the type.
Always waiting for somebody. That's me.
I don't like you sitting behind my desk, O'Mac.
Oh, excuse me. I hope I didn't soil nothing.
You have what you were sent to get?
You mean Mr. Trafford's briefcase?
You know that's what I mean. Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it.
Give it to me.
Not so fast.
Well, what is it?
There's been a change made since I first talked to you.
Change? What do you mean?
The price you're paying. I don't like it.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't. So you'll have to make it fatter.
Tell me, love, where'd you find this cheap highwayman?
Never mind that now. O'Mac, we agreed on $10,000.
Yeah, well, I need 10 more.
You deceitful pig.
You know how it is. Cost of living going up and up.
I won't hear this kind of street corner conniving.
Okay, suit yourself.
And may I ask just what will happen if you don't get what you want?
The counter-spies would love to get their hands on a little setup you've got here.
What?
You've got till tomorrow to pay my price.
You wouldn't go to the counter-spies.
No? Try me and find out.
David Harding, Counter-Spy Headquarters, Washington. To San Francisco Field Office. Special directive to Agent Carl Braden. Re, Mr. George Trafford. Proceed on description of man who stole briefcase and on any other information Trafford can supply. I'm leaving by jet immediately. Have correlation of data ready for my inspection upon arrival. End of message. Oh, Miss Johnson, have you contacted Agent Peters in the St. Louis field office yet?
He's on the wire now, sir. Line number 3.
Oh, good. Hello, Peters.
How are you, Mr. Harding?
Peters, I'm leaving Washington by jet for San Francisco within the hour. I'm picking you up en route, so gauge your time carefully.
Right, what's up?
No time now. I'll fill you in later.
Okay, Chief. I'll be standing by at the St. Louis airport.
And preparatory to leaving San Francisco, Trafford stopped to rest at a hotel until his train was due to depart for Washington.
I follow most of it up to now, Mr. Harding, but,
What, Peter?
Well, who is Trafford? And just what was in this popular briefcase of his?
Well, Trafford is in no official capacity with the government, Peters. He's merely a private citizen who happens to be an astute industrial organizer.
Sort of an efficiency expert,
Yes, you could call it that.
And the big top secret in that briefcase?
A draft of plans for mobilization of certain key industries. Plans, factory locations, working schedules, objectives, probable results, so forth.
I see.
Which, of course, was intended for the hands and eyes only of the defense coordinator in D.C.
I wonder in whose hands and under what eyes they are now at this very moment.
That's what we've got to find out, Peters. And fast.
Hello, Mac. This is Elise Pomeroy.
I was expecting your call.
Quite sure of yourself, aren't you?
Yeah. And I'm even more sure of you.
You still demand 10,000 more?
That's right.
I was thinking of a counter-offer. Shall we say 7,500?
You know, I can't hear a word you're saying.
8,000.
I still can't hear you. So long, Miss Pomeroy.
Wait.
My price stands at 20,000. You can't auction with me. 20,000, or like I said, the briefcase goes to the counter-spies.
All right. Very well. You shall have your money.
I wasn't worried for a second. Love.
Don't be insolent.
Why not? I can afford it.
I'll have the money for you at 11 o'clock tonight.
Where do I pick it up?
My home. 245 Ridgewood Drive.
Ridgewood Drive. Okay, love. I'll be there.
Here's your drink, Mitchell.
Oh, and just right. Thank you, love. To your very good health, Elise.
And to yours.
May you always feel as wonderful as you look.
And may you always be as truthful as you sound.
So much for that. Why did you ask Omac to come here to your house, Elise?
I don't want him seen near the shop again. It's much too risky, darling.
Quite a fellow, isn't he? Or should I say felon?
He's been useful.
Let's see now. Within the short space of 24 hours, he's committed a hold-up, blackmail, and incidentally gave way to a touch of kleptomania. Very impressive.
Kleptomania?
Of course, yesterday in the shop. You heard Doreen describe his attempt to palm a teakwood piece just before we arrived?
Perhaps she made it up.
Oh, come now, my dear. Does it sound so incredible, considering what Omac is? Besides, why would Doreen make up a thing like that?
I wouldn't know, would you?
No. And, by the way, she knows nothing about business transactions in the Orient, does she?
No. Unless she knows about anything concerning us, the better.
Why, Elise, I would almost think you're jealous of Doreen from your tone of voice.
Would you now?
Yes, but you've no reason to be. Look.
Oh, that must be Omac. I'll let him in. Come in.
Thank you. Well, say, quite a joint you got here. A little far from town, though, ain't it?
Do you have the briefcase?
You're looking at it. Hi, Jack.
If you're talking to me, begin again. I'll leave Jack out of it this time.
Take it easy, Governor. Just being friendly.
I'll take the briefcase if you don't mind.
First, my payoff, if you don't mind.
Just as you say. I'll get it from my desk.
You mind if I have a drink? See, you got a few spread around
Take
here.
mine if you like. I haven't touched it.
Well, thank you, and believe me, I wouldn't mind if you did. Love.
Now, see here, O'Mac.
Disregard him, Mitchell.
Sure, Monroe, do that. After tonight, you two won't be bothered with me anymore. Well, here's to the end of a beautiful friendship, huh?
Something wrong, O'Mac?
This drink.
Now, look at the mess you've made.
You put something in the drink.
Only a drug. A very quick, effective, and deadly poison.
I'll kill you.
A very quick poison, O'Mac. Even quicker when you expend energy unnecessarily.
I'll get you.
The end of a beautiful friendship. Exactly as he said.
Elise.
I should have let you in on my little plan, I suppose.
Well, I didn't expect anything like this.
Don't be so shocked, darling. After all, you realize you can't trust a blackmailer. He would have eventually given us away, you know.
You really do mean business, don't you?
Yes, Mitchell, I really do. Now let's get rid of him.
Well, that's about the size of it, Mr. Harding, and I have no idea how he got into that hotel room.
Or who could have sent him, Mr. Tarvin?
No, I'm afraid not. My completion of the draft, as well as my trip to the capital, was strictly secret as far as I know.
But you'll be able to identify this man when we pick him up.
Oh, absolutely, Mr. Peters.
Mr. Harding, isn't it possible that he's passed the plans to another party by now?
Yes, more than likely.
Can't a new draft of your survey be substituted?
Oh, yes, certainly. With putting in another 7 or 8 months on relocations and shifting schedules. It's not the happiest situation, I can tell you.
And time's important.
So it's a question of retrieving what we have or substituting a plan which at best will be inferior to the original.
Well, we can't risk the operation of your plan, Mr. Trafford, as long as there's a chance of its being known to unfriendly powers.
Then you've got to get it back to me, sir, before it's somehow shipped out of the country.
We'll try, Mr. Trafford. You can be sure of that. We're going to try every way possible.
Well, hello, Doreen.
Mr. Monroe.
Oh, I didn't expect to find you in Elise's office.
I was just filing some invoices. Miss Pomeroy should be back shortly.
Good. We can wait together, hmm?
Of course, Miss Monroe.
Oh, no. My name is Mitchell.
Miss Pomeroy might not like me to call you that.
Oh, Miss Pomeroy isn't here, and my friends call me by my first name. I consider you a friend.
Do you?
Yes.
I'm glad. I've always been afraid she might misunderstand.
Elise? Oh, not at all. What is there to misunderstand?
Well...
Doreen, do you like me?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I like you, too.
Will you be going away soon?
Yes, I'm afraid so, within a few days.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you?
Yes.
I'll be back, though.
Will you?
Mm-hmm. But until I...
Hope I'm not interrupting anything.
Hello, Elise. I've been waiting for you.
Not expecting me quite so soon.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was getting a bit impatient.
I'm glad you were able to find a way of containing your impatience. Doreen, you better get out front in the shop.
Yes, Miss Pomeroy.
Before you go, Doreen.
Yes?
I want you to remember something.
What is it?
This. Now, go about your business. And remember that.
I'll be sure to remember it, Miss Pomeroy.
Why did you do that?
You know, without being told, so we won't discuss it.
For heaven's sake, Elise, behave sensibly.
Be quiet. You and your affairs are unimportant at the moment. I've had the plan we stole from Trafford microfilmed. You leave with it on the first boat out of San Francisco for Hong Kong.
When is that?
Tomorrow night.
Are you coming along with me?
No. Because everything we do from now on will be done on a strictly business basis.
Really?
Yes. So mind your step, lover. You know the way I do business.
You are listening to the case of the Kleptomaniac Clues on COUNTERSPY. There's a big evening's entertainment with the chimes today and every Sunday over most of these same NBC stations. The Big Show brings you 90 minutes of the very best in comedy, music, and drama with Tallulah, the distaff dynamo, and the leading personalities of show business. The Phil Harris-Alice Faye Show means 30 mad and delightful minutes with the unconventional Harrises and their friends. Hedda Hopper brings you dramatized stories of Broadway and Hollywood. Tales of the Texas Rangers stars Joel McCrae in an authentic drama from the files of the nation's oldest police force. And genial Jack Parr quizzes a group of courageous contestants on the $64 question. Remember, the chimes are your invitation. Now, back to COUNTERSPY.
Agent Braden to Harding, San Francisco field office. Braden to Harding.
Harding, go ahead, Braden.
The body of a man fitting description furnished by Mr. Trafford was found on the outskirts of the city. Death by poisoning. Identification, Charles O'Mac. He is now at the city morgue.
All right, no further instructions, Braden.
Yes, Chief.
Pick up Mr. Trafford, Peters, and meet me at the city morgue. A dead man just turned up who may be the one. We'll need Trafford to identify him.
Yes, that's him. That's the man who took my briefcase.
You're certain, Mr. Trafford?
Absolutely.
His driver's license said Charles O'Mac. Does that name mean anything to you?
No, nothing.
They found this in his pocket, Mr. Harding. What's it up here? Teakwood. Little teakwood figure. Odd thing for a guy who was also carrying a 38. Yeah.
Mr. Harding, will you need me any further?
Oh, not at the moment, Mr. Trafford.
Then I'll leave if you don't mind. I don't care for the atmosphere of a morgue very much.
No, nor do we. Come on, Peter.
Any place special, Chief?
Yes. Very special, I think.
I'd like to help you, Mr. Harding, of course, but I don't see how I can.
Well, this man O'Mac was carrying in his pocket a small teakwood figure on the base of which was the name of your shop, Miss Pomeroy.
Well, that's strange, I'll admit, but I'm at a total loss to explain it.
You're quite sure that you've never heard the name Charles O'Mac?
I'm sure I'd remember if I had.
Would you have any record of sale on such an item?
Hardly. It's not a terribly expensive piece. That one sells for $2. And as you can see, I have many more of the same type on display here in my shop.
Yes, I see.
Oh, hello, Mitchell.
Hello, Alice.
This is my business associate, Mr. Monroe. Mitchell, this is Mr. Harding and Mr. Peters of the United States COUNTERSPY.
Gentlemen, how do you do?
Oh, yeah.
They seem to think that we might have information concerning a man named O'Mac who was killed recently.
O'Mac? Ever hear the name, Mr. Monroe?
No, I don't believe I have.
Well, we'll bother you no further at the moment. Should anything of importance occur to you, you'll contact us, of course.
Of course.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
That dame is quite a number, huh, Chief?
Maybe a wrong number. Get a stakeout on this shot, Peters.
You think they're lying?
That's what we've got to find out, for sure. Harding speaking.
Mr. Harding, this is Doreen Bridgeton.
Yes?
I work in Miss Pomeroy's shop. I was there this afternoon when you were questioning her.
Go on.
I remained out of sight, but I could hear everything that was said.
I see. Go ahead, Miss Bridgeton.
She lied to you. She did know a man named O'Mac. He was in the shop the day before yesterday.
Will you swear to that in court, should we call upon you?
I'll be happy to, Mr. Harding. Most happy to.
Well, where can you be reached? Hello? Hello? Yes?
Peters, I'm fine, Mr. Harding.
Thank you. Go ahead, Peters.
Dave, I have that stakeout on the curio shop, and I personally tailed Monroe.
What did you find out?
He picked up a steamship ticket for the Trigania leaving for Hong Kong tomorrow night. I checked with the clerk.
Any report on the shop itself?
No, not yet. What do we do about Monroe? Stop him?
Yes, but not officially. If he's a decoy and not carrying the papers, I don't want a false arrest charge. That'll tip our hand completely. We've got to stall him without him knowing we've done it.
How?
Well, a call to the Customs Department ought to do the trick. Now, in the meantime, put a surveillance squad on a girl named Doreen Bridgeton. She works for Elise Pomeroy. She may not realize it, but Miss Bridgeton is a sitting duck right this minute. I'll come in, Peter.
Got a check in from Braden, Mr. Harding. Monroe's going to the dock.
Good. I expect a call from Customs on that any minute. Now, you have a man watching Doreen Bridgeton's apartment, huh?
Since last night.
Good. Oh, this is it.
We hope.
Harding. Yes. Oh, fine. No, nothing else. And thank you very much. All right, goodbye.
What's he?
The customs people wound Mr. Monroe in red tape, the details of which I'll spare you, and revoked his passport temporarily.
Which means he won't sail tonight.
Or any other night. Now, we've got to move fast. First, we'll have the Bridgeton girl picked up. We'll need her later. Then we'll see what the deluxe quarters aboard a luxury liner look like, Peters.
Hey, I like that part.
Don't pack, though. We're traveling light.
Mitchell,
Hello, Elise.
what are you doing here? Why aren't you aboard ship?
It seems the best laid schemes of mice and men.
Will you make sense?
All right, my passport's been revoked. I can't sail.
What?
I think I speak distinctly.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Some sort of a mix-up on dates.
Oh, you are an idiot. This changes everything. Give me your ticket.
Huh? Ticket?
You still have that, don't you?
Yes.
Well, give it to me.
All right. Well, what are you going to do?
I have an hour and a half to make the boat. I'll sail in your place. Where's the microfilm?
My wristwatch case.
Well, give it to me.
All right. Here, take it.
I've got to rush. At least my passport's in order.
Now, listen, you can't leave me here holding the bag, my sweet. I won't take
Oh,
it.
do be still. You're such a bore.
Bore, is it? We'll see how boring I am. Hello, operator. I'd like you to put me through to the United States COUNTERSPYs. Yes, please, and hurry. COUNTERSPY field office. My name is Mitchell Monroe. We should be at the dock in a few minutes, Mr. Harding. Hope our suspect doesn't miss the boat.
We'll ask the captain to postpone sailing time if necessary. But I don't think it will be.
Agent Braden to David Harding in control car S1.
Harding, come in, Braden.
Mitchell Monroe was shot and killed about 15 minutes ago while attempting to call our field office from a pay station.
How did you check it that quickly, Braden?
The receiver was off the hook. We got a police report on it within a few minutes after.
All right, Braden, no instructions.
Little Elise is going to have plenty to answer for, Chief.
Let's get to that boat, Peters. Step on it. What time is it, Peter?
20 minutes to midnight and the sailing time, too. I wish something would break, Chief.
It will. Don't worry.
I'm getting a little too accustomed to the grandeur of this deck cabin. Kind of tempts me to chuck everything and go for a little cruise myself.
Well, Miss Pomeroy.
Mr. Harding.
Come in, Miss Pomeroy.
What are you doing here?
We asked the same of you.
Just how dare you ask me anything? What right have you to be in my cabin?
We thought it was Mr. Monroe's cabin. It's in his name.
What of it?
He had passport trouble. But nothing that wouldn't clear up in a day or so. He'd have been able to sail. It must be urgent business that prompts you to so hurriedly take his place.
I want you to leave immediately.
When we leave, lady, you're leaving with us.
On what charge?
Treason for one.
Murder for another.
Ridiculous.
I think we'll be able to make it stick, Miss Pomeroy. I'm sure that a thorough search of your belongings will reveal the presence of certain top-secret plans for wartime mobilization of industry in this country.
You're mad.
Probably on microfilm. And added to that, we have the eyewitness testimony of Doreen Bridgeton that you knew Charles Omack, knew him well.
He's lying. He's trying to get even for a personal difference.
You know Mitchell Monroe is dead?
What?
Murdered?
No. No, I didn't know.
You're almost convincing.
He's probably telling the truth, Peters. I don't think he'd have had time to kill Monroe.
If you're going to arrest me, then do so, and let's get off this boat.
Not so fast, Miss Pomeroy. There's more where you came from, so let's just wait here for a few minutes and see who it is.
What do you mean?
I'm sure you know exactly what I mean.
Elise, do you...
Well, come in, Mr. Travers.
What the... Hey, what is it, Harding?
Don't you know?
Oh, I certainly don't.
Then I'll tell you. You had yourself robbed of your own plans.
Robbed? What are you talking...
Omack didn't know you. Miss Pomeroy did the hiring and carefully pointed you out. A perfect way of deflecting any and all suspicion from yourself.
Why, that's absolutely ridiculous.
You had a neat setup for an espionage agent, Trafford. You enjoyed the confidence of high government officials while you were planning to transmit your industrialization plans to an unfriendly power.
You don't know what you're saying. Neither one of you do.
But you made one small slip. According to the desk clerk of the hotel here in San Francisco, it was 2 o'clock when you checked in.
They won't listen to this.
You'd better listen, Trafford, and close, because the United States Attorney is going to ask you questions later.
When you arrived at the hotel, there was a southbound train leaving San Francisco at that very moment. So there was no reason for you to have been anywhere but on that train. No reason but your own personal one.
Harding, you're making a grave error.
The error is all yours, Trafford, for showing up here in Miss Pomeroy's cabin.
What's the angle for your coming, Trafford? Skipping? Or just to give her some last-minute instructions?
It couldn't have concerned the microfilm plans. You have your own copies, I'm sure.
Now, don't move, any of you.
Is that the gun that killed Monroe? A ballistics test should tell.
There won't be any test.
I don't know about that. My agents have the dock area completely surrounded. They let you in, but they're sure not to let you out, except with me.
I'm willing to run the risk. Now, stay right where you are.
Don't leave me, George.
Sorry, Elise. I have to travel light now. I'm sorry.
You're no good.
Come on, Peter. There he is, Steve. Stop or I'll shoot, Trafford. He's headed for the rail. Stop, Trafford. Stop or we'll fire. Let him have it. He's falling overboard.
He's finished, Chief.
Yes, but Miss Pomeroy isn't. Not yet. She'll stand trial and pay the penalty all traitors eventually pay.
Tune in every week, same time, same station, to COUNTERSPY. Listen next week for the exciting Case of the Captured Contact.
When a famous lecturer canceled his tour, a solicitous friend canceled his life by murder. How a weak eye and a strong arm led your counterspies into a most intriguing adventure will be unfolded next week in
Case of the Captured Contact on COUNTERSPY. Tonight's COUNTERSPY program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Edward J. Adamson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. COUNTERSPY is a Phillips H. Lord production. The preceding transcribed. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. The National Broadcasting Company presents COUNTERSPY.
Washington calling David Harding, COUNTERSPY. Washington calling David Harding, COUNTERSPY.
Harding, COUNTERSPY, calling Washington.
United States COUNTERSPY, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
These COUNTERSPY reports to the American people are brought to you each week at this time. Now, the Case of the Captured Contact.
Hello? Mr. Harding? Mr. David Harding?
No, this is Mr. Harding's assistant, Harry Peters.
I am calling from Baltimore. I must speak to Mr. Harding in person. Did he not receive my letter?
Who is this, please?
I signed the letter only with the name Roland.
Just a moment. Harding speaking.
Mr. Harding, this is Roland. You received my letter, no?
I'd like to know who you really are.
Full details I cannot give over the telephone, but I give a name, Dr. Maximo.
Dr. Maximo.
Yes. I have been in your country lecturing on bacteriology. My real purpose was something else, and now I realize I have been making a terrible mistake for years.
Yes?
I can correct it only one way, to tell everything to the United States counterspies.
Well, you're only 45 minutes by train from Washington.
Oh, no, I dare not move from this hotel room. My life.
What hotel?
The Gainsborough, room 819.
Huh?
I beg you to come, Mr. Harding. What I must tell you is of the first importance.
Well, I'll see about it, Dr. Maximo. Goodbye.
Mr. Harding... young lady, this is Mr. Jones in room 819.
You have I believe it is called a house detective. Mr. Blaine is his name. I believe my life is in danger. Would you please ask him to come to my room at once?
And I say to you, comrades of this International Congress for Peace, our chief enemy in the world is America. Its ruling circles are composed of nothing but warmongers, imperialists, slaves of Wall Street, and enemies of the peace-loving democratic nations of the world.
Oh, that's the end of the record, I guess. Be glad, Chief. What's the date on that?
July 12th, 3 years ago. Made by our Paris attaché during one of those fake peace congresses held by Iron Curtain followers in Paris.
Well, now play a bit of our phone conversation with Dr. Maximo tonight.
Yep.
Hello? Mr. Harding? Mr. David Harding? No, this is Mr. Harding's assistant, Harry Peters. I am calling from Baltimore. I must speak to Mr. Harding in person. Did he not receive my letter?
The same boy.
Who is this, please? I signed the letter only with the name Roland.
Yes, that's the same man. Don't you think so, Peters?
Sure, it's the same fellow.
Well, here's our file jacket on him. Roland Maximo, graduate of the University of Catania in 1911 at the age of 22.
Makes him 62 now.
Yeah. Became full professor of medicine specializing in bacteriology in 1919.
Right after the First World War.
Secretly joined the International Revolutionary Movement the following year.
And that's the man who's been in this country for months, lecturing from coast to coast.
On bacteriology.
Routine reports on his lectures here, Chief. They say he'd end every lecture with a plea against bacteriological warfare. In the same breath, accusing us of planning to use it. I'm amazed he got away with it, Dave.
Well, this was all before the Cold War turned hot. Well, Peters, if this man is ready, as he says, to turn against his masters in Catania, we'd better go see him.
Oh, we can still easily make Baltimore by midnight, Chief.
Well, I had the Baltimore field office send over a man meanwhile. But let's hop.
You, mind my asking, Mr. Jones, what kind of danger your life's in?
I have been threatened. Have you the time, Mr. Blaine?
Oh, it's 11:10. I oughtn't to be sitting here in your room all night. I'm a house deck. My spot's in the lobby. Keep an eye out for bookies.
The bookies?
A horse player and other kind of unwelcome riffraff.
Oh.
You racketeer? Some kind of hotshot?
Hotshot?
Yeah. For say. Hey, maybe you're a squealer. You're going to rat on your pals and they want to knock you over.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Blaine. You might say I'm going to squeal and that my pals want to knock me over.
Hey, what's that? It's fire. There's fire in the joint.
Mr. Blaine, wait.
I'll tell you, there's fire. I gotta go see you. Hear them all yelling?
Mr. Blaine, I beg you, do not leave the room.
You wait. I'll be right back.
Mr. Blaine!
Hello, Ellery. What are you doing in the lobby? I wanted you up in room 819 with Dr. Maximo.
I got here, Mr. Harding. The whole hotel was in an uproar. They said fire, and the fire chief wouldn't let me in, COUNTERSPY or not.
Fire, Ellery?
8th floor. Just now they found out it was a false alarm.
False alarm. Come on, room 819. Come on, Peters, Ellery. Call the house detective, Peters.
No use. 3 bullets.
I'm Harding, Dr. Maximo. Who did this?
I did not see the door opened. I don't know. More important, my confession. You must catch my contact. Will lead you to everything.
Your contact, yes.
Name?
Yes, his name.
George.
George what? Where?
Never told last name. Only George. Small man.
Yes, small man, but what city? Where?
Left eye.
Left eye? What about it?
Left eye.
They've silenced him for good, Mr. Harding.
Yes. And We've got to find a man called George with something unusual about his left eye. One man among 150 million people.
Listen, Eddie, this is the rest of what Mama writes.
Yeah?
They came this afternoon, special delivery. Next week, your father has to be in Buffalo for a meeting of his fraternal organization. And if we could drive through Columbus, we could spend the weekend with you and Edward.
The weekend? Well, I can stand it if they can, baby. Your old man's a pretty good kegler.
Kegler?
Bowler, fancy word.
Oh. What kind of a day at the shop?
Blueprints, as usual. What's for supper?
I almost forgot. You going to be on the road again next week?
No, hon, but I've been talking with Sam about a good chance for a blueprint shop over in Cobbsville. Going to be a big industrial town. I thought we ought to open up there, get in on the ground floor.
Cobbsville? Gee, we don't know anybody there.
Well, not definite yet anyway. And anyway, what's for supper?
Salisbury steak.
You mean hamburger.
Oh, maybe that's Claire Siegel. I saw her at the market. She said maybe she and Herbert...
I'll brush her off.
Only do it nicely, Eddie.
Hello?
Hello, George.
Oh, yeah.
This is Arthur.
Uh-huh. Hiya.
I have just had some good news from Baltimore.
Yeah?
You won't have to move to Cobbsville. You won't have to leave Columbus. You're quite safe here.
Oh, fine.
I shall be in touch with you soon for further assignment.
Okay, Arthur.
Don't use my name. Goodbye, George.
Yeah. So long.
That wasn't Claire Siegel, was it, Ed?
Oh, no, it was, a fellow I was in touch with on this Cobbsville business, but he says forget it. How soon is that Salisbury hamburger going to be ready?
There are the lights of Washington, Chief. Well, it's obvious, Peters. Dr. Maximo's ex-comrades found out he intended to talk to us and pulled that fake fire alarm as a cover for liquidating him. Now, the next most important man to get is this George.
With the strange left eye. How do we find George?
Well, as Dr. Maximo traveled around lecturing, posing as a friendly scientist, he must have been reporting on the progress of American research in bacteriological warfare.
Then George must have been a contact who met him from time to time on his travels.
Yeah, that's it. The moment we get back to Washington tonight, we'll lay out on a map the exact itinerary Dr. Maximo followed.
We've got the itinerary laid out, Chief.
Quick work. Get any sleep last night after we got back?
About an hour.
Lucky you.
Here's the map room, Dad. Now, each pin on the map here represents a stopping place. Now, the dates of arrival and departure for each location are on the flag.
Landed New York, August 29th.
Mm-hmm. And here's the typed-up schedule of the modes of travel that Dr. Maximo used.
Itinerary took him coast to coast and back. Stopped in 5, 10, 22 places.
All either universities or industrial towns with important research labs.
I'll tell you what, Peters. We'll prepare a directive to our field offices in these 22 localities. We want the details on everything Dr. Maximo did. Everybody he saw. In each place.
Maximo was a bacteriologist, Chief. His information was technical. Now, it follows that the contact had to know something about bacteriology. Maybe he had to make copies, microfilm, or blueprints.
Right. Well, list all bacteriologists in the country. Every research laboratory with employees present and past, even the clerical staff. Then we'll cross-check that list against the list we get of people Dr. Maximo met. Somewhere among all these people, we've got to find George.
You are listening to the case of the captured contact on COUNTERSPY. The chimes are your invitation to a bright Sunday evening lineup over most of these same NBC stations tonight. Tallulah MCs another gala broadcast of The Big Show. The Phil Harris Alice Faye Show brings you more delightful adventures. And then Hedda Hopper presents dramatized stories of the stars. Now, back to Counter-Spy.
Good morning, Dr. Phillips. My name's Taylor, United States Counter-Spies. We're making up a national directory of all personnel in bacteriology in case of a national emergency. Now, I wonder if you'd mind helping us out.
Hello, Professor Thorne. My name's Ellery, sir, United States Counter-Spies. I've just arrived in Locust City. I'd like to come out to the university laboratory.
Good afternoon, Mr. Zachary. Taylor, Counter-Spies. You've got a large technical staff here in your company laboratories, and we're making up a directory.
That's fine, Dr. Loomis. Now, if I could see your pass...
Much obliged for your cooperation, Professor Marks. Just one more thing. About this man, George Rackett, who worked here as a laboratory technician 3 years ago. Can we examine into him a little more, sir?
Well, there's the whole list, Mr. Harding. The names only.
Well, the facts about them?
On a card file out in my office. They're to be punched for automatic sorting.
Well, have we got the dope on which of these were actually in the area of Dr. Maximo's trip at the time they needed?
Yes, Chief. That's one of the classification symbols.
Uh-huh.
Now, the cards will be ready for the machines by early tomorrow morning, I'd say.
All right, we'll run them off then.
I'm setting the machine now, Chief.
Well, first, anybody whose first, middle, or last name is George.
Right.
And second, who were in the area of Dr. Maximo's trip?
Symbol 7.
Third, those with eye trouble, the left eye especially. All right, you.
Even at this speed, Chief, it'll take some time. There are thousands of cards. $78 cards called out, Chief.
All right, now classify by areas and shoot them out to the agents in charge. But, Peters, the trouble is George is most likely not a real name at all, but a code name.
That's a cheery thought.
Morning, madam. My name's Taylor. I'm from the New Orleans City Directory, checking on all inhabitants. I understand you have a tenant here named George Sperry. Works for the university laboratory.
Excuse me, Mrs. T.J. George. I'm from the local civil defense organization. My name's Ellery. We're looking for volunteer aircraft spotters.
All very interesting, Chief. Adding up to nothing.
Every one of those 78 have clean records?
Well, one fellow used to work at a lab in Kansas City. He turned out to be a minor embezzler from Philadelphia. Another man was an escaped convict. 2 others were aliens who entered the country illegally. 11 of them met or heard Dr. Maximo, but not one has a single questionable association.
And all of these, named George, who were in that area, had some trouble with the left eye.
Well, it kind of washes out there, Dave. Most of these people wear glasses, and most of them, the left eye is weaker than the right. One man's practically blind in his left eye, but he's 71 years old and stone deaf.
This eye business bothers me. It's the chief identifying fact that came to Dr. Maximo's mind. Peters, instead of looking for George by name and profession, let's look for him through the eyes.
Oh? You mean through oculists? Opticians? Eye doctors? Clinics?
Well, if a man's left eye is so noticeable, it's fair to suppose that he consults somebody about it.
This job gets bigger and bigger, Chief.
Well, incidentally, include the manufacturers of artificial eyes on that checklist.
Okay. The eyes have it.
Hiya, baby.
Hello, Ed. Tough day?
6 of one, 6 of the other.
How about a movie tonight?
Oh, honey. I'll get it, honey.
Okay, do that, Eddie.
Yeah, hello?
George?
Yeah.
This is Arthur.
Oh, hiya.
An important job for you, George. In Washington, D.C.
Oh?
A meeting. It's very dangerous, but it's necessary. I am leaving here tonight. You get a train tomorrow afternoon.
Well, when does the customer expect to see me?
Tuesday, but...
Tuesday? Well, then what's the point of my going tomorrow? I'll leave Monday.
You're supposed to take orders without question, George.
Well, you know I've got this trouble with my eye. I've got an appointment with an eye doctor Monday morning. Been trying for weeks to see him.
Well, in that case...
where'll I find you?
You have to go to the Hotel Finlay. Register under your own name. We'll meet after that. That is all.
Hotel Finlay. So long. Hon, Washington next for me. Big deal.
Good morning. Name's Taylor, Counterspies. I understand you're the leading optician in Kansas City, and
Yes, Mr. Strauss, we're checking all oculists in this section. In case of national emergency, any man with medical understanding might... Oh, by the way, have you any patrons with really serious trouble in the left eye?
I know you're a busy man, Dr. Choate. I just arrived in Columbus this morning, and I understand you're the top eye man in the city.
40 years at it, young fellow.
Well, now, this is highly confidential, Dr. Choate. But have you a man patient who's a bacteriologist?
No, nothing like that.
Maybe a man who once worked in a research laboratory on bacteriology?
No, not as far as I know. Nearest thing to a lab worker on my list is Edward Stringer.
Oh?
His left eye, well, it's really strange. Muscles of the lid are so weak his left eyelid's practically closed all the time. Only he's no bacteriologist. Understands a lot about medicine, for a layman, mind you. But he's a partner in the Red Arrow Duplicating Company.
Red Arrow Duplicating?
Yes, photostats, blueprints, and so forth.
Oh. Thanks very much, Dr. Choate.
From Harding, Washington, C.S. Taylor on assignment, Columbus. Continue check on Edward Stringer. Peters and I flying to join you.
This Edward Stringer's been married 7 years, Mr. Harding. No children. 5-room, 2-story frame house on Hawthorne Road. Age 33. Wife Alice, age 30, from Utah.
That's wonderful.
I've had no chance to get a look at Stringer, but Dr. Choate says his left eyelid is almost fully closed all the time.
Oh, anybody would remember that. Yeah. Well, go on, Taylor.
Well, Stringer and a man named Samuel E. Carpenter together own a blueprint and photostat shop, number 16 Harper Street. In business 4 years. Stringer's traveled a good deal, according to Carpenter.
Well, you didn't explain your interest, I hope.
Oh, no, sir. No, what I did is I arranged with the airlines here to appear as their representative.
Oh.
That way I could ask how much the partners traveled, where to, and so on.
Smart gag, Taylor.
Well, according to Carpenter, Stringer does the traveling for the pair, handles good-size orders outside the city. Sam Carpenter mentioned half a dozen cities, and every one of them was on Dr. Maximo's itinerary.
Well, does Stringer know anything about bacteriology?
Well, Carpenter said that was one of their business assets, Mr. Harding. Stringer majored in bacteriology at Hillman College. He never graduated, but kept up his interest.
I see.
You see, that makes their shop useful to firms with technical documents to be duplicated.
Well, that's a good job, Taylor. We're getting hot, Peter. One more visit to Sam Carpenter. He'll know where Edward Stringer is, and we close in.
And now there's a new and very important assignment for you, George. Right here in Washington.
What'll it be, Arthur?
I'm soon to go home. You are to take my place as chief of contacts. Today and tomorrow. As the others arrive in Washington, they will come here to you, in one pose or another. And there is only one matter.
Yeah?
That eye of yours. It is so easily remembered.
I guess so, and it drives me nuts myself, but I got a doctor back in Columbus. He says he can fix it. Take maybe 6 months, eye exercises, maybe even an operation, but...
Hey, you expect anyone, George?
Maybe it's a chambermaid. I'll tell her to come back later. Oh, yeah?
Edward Stringer?
Yeah.
Mind if we come in? Come on, Peter.
Hey, just a second.
Close the door, Peter. Got it. We're United States counterspy, Stringer.
We'll have to ask who this other man is.
Stringer, you have a right not to speak at all.
I know, but, well, it's all over, isn't it?
Yes, it is, George.
Okay. I always expected to get caught. This man has been my boss. He's called Arthur. That's all I know about him. I'll tell you everything else you want to know, all about everybody, even help you catch him.
You fool. You traitor.
You've got it wrong, Arthur. He's a traitor to us, not to you.
Me a traitor? I've been working for peace.
What?
Make the other side just as strong as the United States, and then neither side will dare go to war.
Oh, Stringer, how sick can you get? Got something there, Pierce. It's a question whether a man like this belongs in a penitentiary or a hospital for the mentally ill. Anyway, both of you, you're now under arrest by the United States government.
You've just heard another Counter-Spy report to the American people, brought to you each week at the same time. Next week's report, the case of the double-crossing defender. Tonight's Counter-Spy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Paul R. Milton, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counter-Spy is a Phillips H. Lord production.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Counter-Spy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy. Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Harding, Counter-Spy. Calling Washington.
United States Counter-Spies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight's Counter-Spy report to the American people is brought to you in cooperation with the New York State Civil Defense Commission.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Baltimore and to the national headquarters of Super America Incorporated. And here is the chairman of Super America Incorporated, Henry Harrison Hector.
I have called this emergency meeting of you, our key Super America leaders from all over the country, to discuss the new crisis confronting our nation. The possibility of attack from the air by conventional means and, we fear, atomic bombs. All over the country, citizens are rallying to their local civil defense organizations. But, as in every crisis, everything cannot be left to government officials. It is up to us, Super Americans, to provide leadership. Wherever patriotic work is to be done, there you must see a Super American. Should disaster strike from the skies, it will be our Super American task to form the very backbone of civil defense.
You're right. You're darn right, sir.
I see that you all understand. Presently, my secretary, Della Crane, will hand you your individual assignment sheets. We must make the civil defense of the United States our great objective. Thank you for your attention.
Very good speech, Mr. Hector.
I'll be sorry to lose you, Della. Are you sure you and Steve will be happy in Finnsburg?
No, but I'll do my best. Steve's already been out there, found an apartment and a job.
The bonds between Super Americans are very strong.
Better excuse me, Mr. Hector. I've got to give out the assignment sheet.
By all means, Della. Give us just a few weeks, and I think we Super Americans will turn civil defense into civil collapse.
Well, let's continue, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? As you know, my name is Blair. I'm the zone director. I'm very happy to see so many new volunteers here tonight. During this week, I expect to make the final assignments. Aircraft spotters, communications helpers, medical aid helpers, and so on. I feel that by the end...
Mr. Blair, may I ask a question?
Why, certainly, Mr. Crane.
Well, do I understand you correctly that assignments haven't all been made yet?
Well, that's right, Mr. Crane. Most of the time so far has been spent in planning. Does that cover your question?
Well, yes, I guess so. For now, anyway.
As I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, most of the time has been spent in planning, from the top down. We get our overall plans from the National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington, then through our state director, down through our city director here in Finnsburg. Now, since this particular zone covers the most important industrial section of the city, this building is the main control center for the entire city. Now, are there any radio hams among you? Amateur radio operators?
Well, I know.
2, 3, 4. That's fine. After the meeting, will you please report to Mr. Avery? That's Mr. Avery over by the window. You'll become the nucleus of a special squad to go right to the scenes of any disasters and report back by radio. Now, the next Yes, Mr. Crane?
Say, Mr. Blair, I'm new here, and maybe I oughtn't to open my yap, but... say, would you mind if I come right up front there so everybody can hear me?
No, not at all. Come right ahead.
Okay. I just take this whole thing so darn serious. Well, folks, my name's Steve Crane, and I just hit this fine city of yours today, and... boy, from what I've seen so far, I'm going to be mighty happy about it. Yes, sir. Well, I've been sitting and listening to the interesting things Mr. Blair's been outlining, and I'm here to say that everything sounds great. The only trouble is, and I don't know just what we can do about it, the trouble is not much is definite. So much is still in the planning stage, you know what I mean?
Well, Mr. Crane, I might explain to you...
I know you can't just do things without planning. We're all intelligent enough to know that, but here's what bothers me. Suppose somebody drops a bomb on us tomorrow. Where are we? Hiding our heads under a plan? No, I hate to criticize, and I don't want any of you to think that's what I'm doing, but... holy smoke, what's been going on here since the trouble started in Korea way back in June?
Mr. Crane, I think you ought to realize
that I know these things take time, but we got to work faster or nothing's any good. Being almost ready is like not being ready at all. Holy smoke, we'd all be better off getting out of the city. Now, what do you say we all...
Mr. Crane, please. I understand that to a newcomer like yourself, it may seem we've done very little. But I don't want anybody here to forget the enormous amount of work that's been done. Why...
Sure, Mr. Blair, I'm right behind you. And like I said, I don't want to talk out of turn, but I don't want anybody to kid themselves. How much time do you think we've got?
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Please, let's have some order and discipline here. Ladies and gentlemen, please!
To COUNTERSPY headquarters from District 3, City 9. Local civil defense moving very slowly here lately. State Director believes people generally unaware of real danger. This field office lending personnel to step up recruiting. To COUNTERSPY headquarters from District 19, City 3. Civil defense here at virtual standstill. Volunteers not carrying out assigned duties. This field office consulting with Director. Will advise.
We've been getting them like that from various spots all over the country, Mr. Harding.
Strange. Sort of a sudden paralysis.
The National Director of Civil Defense thinks that people just don't realize the danger.
I wonder. Well, people are all talking about the danger of war, of a sudden atomic attack. 2 days ago, I was in Ohio. It's a live subject there. Same in New York, on the West Coast, everywhere. Tremendous interest. All of a sudden, according to these reports, it dies out.
You're right back at the beginning, Chief. People just don't realize...
Peters, I'm not one of those who blames the people every time something goes wrong. Not until I'm sure nothing else is wrong. Peters, how many of our agents are now unassigned in the first classification?
Oh, maybe 10 or a dozen.
Well, good. Get those men together tonight here in my office. You be here, too.
I see you've got a scheme.
Yes, that's right. Now, from all these reports, we're going to pick out the localities having the most trouble. Then you fellows are going into those cities undercover to join the civil defense groups as ordinary citizens to find out, if you can, what's wrong.
And, frankly, I must admit, ladies and gentlemen, I've had to turn in a disappointing report to City Defense Headquarters. No, not about you who are here, but about those who've been dropping out. And so tonight, I've got to ask you to get in touch with everyone you know. Find out why they seem so uninterested in what we're doing here. And
say, Mr. Blair.
Yes, Mr. Crane.
I can tell you right now what's eating everybody. I mean, those who aren't here.
Oh, can you?
I've talked to lots of people trying to get them in here to work, and they all say, what's the use? Nothing's ready. We're not getting the help we need from Washington. And I tell them, well, it's up to us, too.
Excuse me, please.
Yes?
If you'll allow me to interrupt the other speaker.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Well, I agree with what he says. People just don't have any faith in the civil defense outfits. Now, my name is Peterson. I've just come to Finnsburg. I'm a reporter on the Finnsburg Press. And let me tell you, we're helpless. And I just don't see any point in continuing...
Excuse me, Mr. Peterson, but I don't see any point in discouraging ourselves. And that's what we're doing, some of us. Oh, it's intended to help, I know.
Well, if you're just trying to protect a bunch of Washington incompetents, Mr. Blair, I don't see why the...
I'm protecting no one, Mr. Peterson. We're all trying to protect ourselves. All right, that's all for tonight. I'll see you all and more, I hope, on Friday.
Say, Peterson. Peterson.
Yeah?
My name's Steve Crane. I'm the guy you cut in on.
Oh. Well, I hope you weren't sore, huh?
Oh, no, on the contrary. Glad to see somebody else here with the nerve to talk up. Say, are you busy the rest of the evening?
No.
You and me seem to agree on a lot of things. Why don't you come on home with me for a drink and see what else we agree on?
Oh, don't go yet, Mr. Peterson. Can't I give you another drink?
No, thanks, Mrs. Crane. It's really time I went home.
Oh, I'm glad you came home with me, Peterson. Glad to know you and me see eye to eye on a lot of this civil defense stuff.
You bet, Crane. Well, thanks for a very pleasant evening, Mrs. Crane.
Maybe you'll come again. Give us a ring anytime.
I'll certainly bear that in mind. This way, huh?
Yeah, this way.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, what do you make of him, Della?
Seems to have his heart in the right place.
Last 2 or 3 meetings, he's been backing me up, and good, too. Great little discourager. And all the time, he sounds like the doggondest eager beaver you ever heard.
Maybe he'd make a super American.
That's what I thought.
It's time I tipped Mr. Hector anyway. He ought to be coming here to Finnsburg for a general look-see, and that's when he can meet Peterson.
You are listening to the case of the double-crossing defender on COUNTERSPY. Today, over most NBC stations, Cary Grant and Betsy Drake star in the premiere of a delightful newcomer to your NBC Sunday lineup, Mr. and Mrs. Blandings. It's top listening for the entire family, with Mr. and Mrs. Blandings in a troublesome dream house. Sunday also means another broadcast of The Big Show, and today your hostess Tallulah presents Fred Allen, Judy Holliday, Vaughn Monroe, and many, many more.
Now, back to Counter-Spy.
From Peters, assignment Finnsburg to David Harding, Washington. Chief cause of civil defense difficulty here, one Steve Crane, member of apparently patriotic group called Super America Incorporated. Mrs. Crane says Chief Super American Henry Harrison Hector of Baltimore arriving here soon. Advise.
Harding to Peters. Spot check of 11 civil defense groups shows similar activity by persons belonging to Super America Incorporated and flying to Finnsburg.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. David Harding?
Yes?
I'm from the Finnsburg Press, Mr. Harding. I've been assigned to interview you about your trip here.
Oh, well, I don't see any other reporters, Mr.
Peterson, Mr. Harding. I guess I'm the first man here. I had an inside tip that you might be on this plane. I wonder if we could just step away from the crowd here.
Of course.
Tell me, how long do you expect to stay in our city, Mr. Harding?
Long enough to survey the civil defense organizations here.
Chief, this fellow Henry Harrison Hector is arriving in Finnsburg in a couple of days. Did you learn anything about Super America Incorporated?
Well, it describes itself as a super patriotic organization, but its literature follows the Communist Party line like one snake after another.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how's that tie in with what you know of Crane and his wife?
There are a couple of smarties, Dave. Crane gets in his dirty work by seeming to be a real eager beaver. His wife has joined up, too. She does the same, but actually they discourage people. That seems to be the idea.
Probably following a national pattern.
Well, here come reporters from the other papers.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Harding, and lots of luck to you in your stay here.
I'll be at the Riverside Hotel, Peter.
Right.
Okay, Peterson. Tell your paper to get behind this campaign to step up civil defense. So long.
And here, Mr. Hector, here's a layout of the Civil Defense Control Center.
Very complete. Steve's work?
He's good at that sort of thing. He's down there tonight doing extra volunteer work, if you know what I mean.
These are the main phone lines?
The trunks run into the basement here. Main water valve there. Main power line here, and main switch next to it.
Radio room?
Second floor. Good setup, Steve says. Modern equipment. Big control board to keep in touch with radio hams in the city in case of attack.
Medical department? Aircraft spotting room?
Third floor. Phone communications with 100 observation posts in a big ring outside the city. And, here. Director's office. This man, Blair. We have a file on him and also his staff.
Good.
Liaison with police and fire departments, public health authorities, welfare and public information. Transportation here. Big garage, trucks, and so on.
A depressingly efficient setup, Dillon.
Sure. But what good is it? Unless the civil defense people themselves are really pepped up. And they're not. Your plan has been working beautifully.
And so I've heard from many other cities. It's lucky because actually these defense setups are good. If we can only keep the people so discouraged they don't use them to the fullest advantage.
That's where I thought this man Peterson might come in. We can always use new recruits.
Have you checked on him?
No, I haven't had the time. I hoped you might from Baltimore.
He's an unknown, Della. I think we better... Would that be...
I hope so. Put away that map.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mrs. Crane. I'm afraid I'm a few minutes late.
Hello. Come on in.
Thank you.
This is Harry Peterson, and this is Mr. Henry Harrison Hector, National Chairman of Super America Incorporated.
How do you do, sir?
Sit down, Mr. Peterson, and let's have a long, honest talk, shall we?
Mr. Harding, Peterson of the Finnsburg Press.
Oh, hello, Peterson.
Tonight I met the man, HHH.
Yes?
The scheme is to destroy civil defense morale. I gave him a lot of personal detail based on New York City, the same we've used before in similar cases.
As I understand. I'll wire New York to back you up.
If HHH is on the level, he'll drop you because of your supposed record as a subversive. But if he's not on the level...
We'll see. I'll check you tomorrow. Good night. Hello?
Chief, Peters. HHH lost no time checking on me. It was 3 nights ago that I first met him. Tonight I had a call to meet him at the Crane's apartment.
Then he wants you in spite of your fake subversive record.
He may be our man.
Right. Well, I understand there's to be a test alert very soon. I hope we can run this down before that.
Steve, as I understand your duties at the control center, you are a guard at the main entrance.
That's right, Mr. Hector.
And Della?
Volunteer assistant at the medical center.
And our friend Peterson?
Information center, assistant to the director.
I've been thinking, and as super Americans, we must always think ahead of everyone else. An ordinary test alert is no test at all because everyone knows it's fake. Now, what if we make this a real alert by spreading the alarm during the test that it's the real thing?
That's taking a chance, Mr. Hector.
At an appropriate moment, suddenly give a false report. Start shouting, it's the real thing, a real attack. You understand?
Run.
There'll be a panic.
People injured and killed, Mr. Hector.
Suppose it were the real thing. People would be killed, would they not? You can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. Very well. That's all. Peterson, you leave first.
Okay. Good night, all. See you at the test, whenever it is.
I gather you got an okay report on Peterson, Mr. Hector?
Yes, from New York. He's going to be a valuable man.
I'll get it, Della.
No, never mind, Steve. Hello? Yes, Mr. Hector is right. Oh. Are you sure? Yes, I'll tell him. Thanks. Goodbye.
Huh?
That call's from New York, Mr. Hector. They checked further on Peterson. He's not all he said he was.
What?
He may be some kind of undercover agent. Oh, what a dumb mistake for us to make.
No regrets now. Steve.
Yeah?
During the test alert, see to it that Peterson is one of the people killed in the panic.
That ought to be easy. And when What's the...
The lights are blinking.
Steve, that's the first signal for the alert. We've got 15 minutes to get to our post.
Then get going. And remember your orders.
Radio operators to your sectors in Disaster Area 4. Radio operators, Disaster Area 4. Medical Corps and ambulances to Medical Post 7 and 13. 7 and 13. Report to communications on arrival. Trucks for utilities repair. Trucks for utilities repair to the boundaries of Disaster Area 4. Turn off gas and power lines to prevent explosions. Reopen blocked sewers. Guides for injured and homeless. Stay in your vehicles till you reach rallying points. Guide injured and homeless to shelters 9, 11, and 17. 9, 11, and 17.
Everything going all right, Blair?
So far, yes, Mr. Harding, but... Oh, here's one of the men I was telling you about. The one that's always spreading discouragement.
Oh.
His name's Peterson.
Hello, Mr. Blair. Oh, Mr. Harding, can I speak to you, sir? Yes? I just came from meeting Hector, Chief. They're going to start a panic. That it's a real attack. It's a real fifth column trick.
I'll get 17.
All right, I'll alert one of our squads outside.
Hey, listen, everybody! This is no fake attack, it's real!
That's Steve Crane following orders.
The first bomb hit the suburbs. There's nothing left of them. There's nothing we can do. Save yourselves! The next bomb will hit the middle of the city! Save yourselves!
No, wait, everybody. Stand by your posts. No matter what happens, stand by your posts.
Don't listen to that fool. Save yourselves!
Chief, that's Hector himself among the crowd. Work your way near him, Peter.
Men, women, listen to this. This is Harding, United States COUNTERSPY. Right. Listen to Mr. Harding. Now, don't be panicked by a rumor. This is the time to prove you're well disciplined. Don't let anyone leave this room or the building. All right, back to your Now, Mr. Blair,
check your outpost. Right. Zone director to all spotters. Have any real bombs been dropped? Any real bombs? Not one, Mr. Harding.
You see, it was a rumor, a deliberate rumor by fifth columnists trying to start a panic.
Crane was caught at the door, Mr. Harding, and here's the boss of the bunch, Henry Harrison Hector.
Well, the chief super-American himself.
Mr. Harding, you misunderstand our purpose. We wanted to make this a real test.
Well, that's too bad for you, Hector. One of your newest recruits is going to be the star witness against you and your organization. Take him away, Peters.
Come on, Hector.
Mr. Harding, I'm very grateful for your help. But are we past the danger?
Well, as long as there's danger of war, Blair, there's the danger of fifth column. And the best protection against them is vigilance and courage. You've done it here. I know every American can do it.
Tonight's Counter-Spy program originated in New York, was directed by Marks B. Loeb, dramatized by Paul R. Milton, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer. Lionel Rico speaking. Counter-Spy is a Phillips H. Lord production.
Three chimes mean good times on NBC. In a moment, Cary Grant and Betsy Drake star in the premiere of a delightful newcomer to your NBC Sunday lineup, Mr. and Mrs. Blandings. It's top listening for the entire family with Mr. and Mrs. Blandings and their troublesome dream house. Sunday also means another one-hour production by Theater Guild on the Air. It's the delightful comedy The Fortune Hunter, starring Gene Crane and John Lund. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.